Hi guys, it's me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to day 2, the race watch along for the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix here in Sao Paulo. Hopefully you guys are doing well after yesterday's very controversial qualifying session in Brazil. No matter if you're in the Americas, the UK, Europe, Asia, Australia, wherever you are in the world, hopefully you're doing well and you're going to enjoy today's Grand Prix in Brazil. It should be a very competitive one at the front of the field and as well in the midfield. Again, hopefully you guys are doing well. But if somehow, guys, you did miss out on what happened in qualifying, let me take you through now the results of that session. And here you go. So Lewis Hamilton is on pole position from Vettel second, Bottas third, Raikkonen fourth, and then Max Verstappen P5. Ricciardo qualifies in 6th but will start in P11 because of a 5-place grid penalty. So Ericsson will start in 6th, and then Leclerc, Grosjean and Gasly are P7, P8 and P9, but in qualifying they complete the top 10. And then your bottom 10 in qualifying was Magnussen, Perez, Ocon. Ocon has a 5-place grid penalty. Hulkenberg, Sirotkin, Sainz, Hartley, Alonso, Stroll and Stoffel Van Dorn. So that is almost your field for and your starting grid for today's race. Again, the only people with penalties are Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo. So, as ever guys, let's go into previewing how we think the top teams are going to do here in Sao Paulo. And we're going to start off with Mercedes, who got a very good result yesterday, getting pole position with Lewis Hamilton and 3rd place with Valtteri Bottas. I think that's the best they could have done pace-wise with the car they had yesterday. I don't think they were, I don't think they were thinking coming into qualifying that they were going to get pole position. I think that they maybe suspected that Ferrari had enough pace to do so, but Lewis Hamilton, as ever, produced when it mattered and got the pole position. But what about today? Do Mercedes have the race pace and good enough tyre wear in the dry to win today's Grand Prix? Now, I don't think they do. I don't think they do. As we saw at the US and Mexican Grand Prix, they just don't have good tyre wear right now, and their race pace compared to their qualifying pace, it's not even close in terms of being, the same. Mercedes have a massive drop-off compared to what they do in qualifying. So for me, don't be surprised if on the super soft tyres that Mercedes are starting on, they struggle a lot in the second half of their opening stint. They really could, because again, tyre wear has been, for most of 2018, an issue for Mercedes. It wasn't an issue between Spa and Suzuka, because they had this wheel hub design on their car, and I believe it did help. But, before they brought that to the car, and since they've had to take it off, their tyre wear has really cost them. They could have had a race win at Cota, and they probably could have had a podium at Mexico. But they couldn't, because they had to do an extra pit stop for their drivers. So I definitely think, tyres-wise, they are going to struggle in this Grand Prix. Next up is Ferrari, who pace-wise in qualifying, I have to say they disappointed. I thought Ferrari should have had, at least, given the pace of their car, 1st and 3rd on the grid. But there you go, they've qualified in P2 and P4. But for this Grand Prix, they have, out of the top teams, the best strategy for especially the opening stint of this Grand Prix, because the 2 Mercedes cars and the 2 Red Bulls are starting on the red striped super soft tyres, and Ferrari are on the soft tyres. That is going to help them in the first few laps, no doubt about it, because once Mercedes start to green their tyres, that's going to bring Ferrari right into play. And because Ferrari do have the fastest car in a straight line, if they get close enough under DRS in the opening stint, they can go for the move, absolutely. Because again, with a slipstream, they're going to be so quick down the straights here in Brazil. So they do have a very, very good chance of victory today. I'm not sure that, you know, they're going to be massively better than Mercedes and Red Bull. We'll have to see how the start goes, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ferrari won today's race. But now we'll move on from Ferrari and go on to Red Bull. Now, Red Bull yesterday did, I think, the best they could have, P5 and P6. They just don't have the horsepower in their Renault power unit to be able to compete at a track like this. So no surprise that they are on, or they qualified on the third row. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo starts back in P11. Now, in the race, we know that their race pace is a lot better than their qualifying pace because, you know, Mercedes and Ferrari in qualifying have, you know, party mode and they can go way faster than Red Bull can. Even though the Renault engine does have a party mode, it's nowhere near as powerful as the Mercedes one or the Ferrari one. Red Bull in today's race, I'm not going to say confused, but I'm not sure where they're going to finish because they will have good tyre wear, but I'm not sure if that will put them close enough to Mercedes and Ferrari to go for a podium or even victory. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure they can. They're going to need Mercedes to really struggle on their tyres and have to do an extra pit stop, because if, you know, all the teams do a one stop, even if Red Bull, you know, do manage their tyres well, I don't see how Red Bull can pass a Mercedes or a Ferrari, because they're going to have to do it down those massively long straights and they don't have the horsepower to do so. So for me, I just don't see how Red Bull can get a podium. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the Mercedes or one of the Ferraris ended up behind one of the Red Bull cars, if Red Bull do have good race pace. But when it comes to getting a podium, they're going to need either rain, which is possible, by the way. There's a 50 to 60% chance of rain in today's race. So they're going to either need that, or, you know, those drivers to do an extra pit stop or retire from the Grand Prix. I just don't see how Red Bull can get a podium. But guys, what do you think about those top three teams? For Mercedes, do you think they're going to struggle on their tyres? For Ferrari, do you think the strategy they are on at the start will help them against Mercedes going for the race victory? And for Red Bull, what do they need to happen for them to get a podium? Put in the chat right now, guys, and I will answer any questions and read out your comments. Right, let's take a look at your comments, guys. Max Claydon, just finished watching the Chelsea match. Hey everyone, yep, I was watching it earlier for obvious reasons, but we'll move on. Ronan Brady, I think Bottas will finish behind Max Verstappen. It's possible. It is possible because, of course, Bottas has, with Raikkonen and Verstappen, he has two cars behind who are better on their tyres than, you know, than Bottas is with his Mercedes. So, yeah, that definitely could happen. It definitely could happen. We'll have to see, though, what they will do, Mercedes, on their tyres. Ben McCarthy, if Seb gets overtaken by Max, things will get interesting at the start. I don't think Max will get that good of a start. we've seen it, of course. I think, was it Canada in 2017? Max started in P5 and got up to second, but those kind of starts are quite rare, so I don't think that's going to happen. But you never know. JB Nibber's probably designing a better car for Ricciardo. I'm sure he'll turn up soon. Just looking. Legion, which lap do you guys think Ricciardo will blow? I don't even want to predict it. I really don't. I just want him to finish a race for once. I mean, I know he finished in Russia, but it wasn't trouble-free. And then you have Singapore, where he had no pace. I just want him to finish the race and have a good race, where he's not disappointed for once. Just looking through the chat to read out all your comments. Just looking at the JB. Am I the only one who didn't know Hartley got a 10-second penalty from Mexico for colliding with Ocon? Yeah, at the time I didn't actually know that. After the Mexican Grand Prix, I did find out from Nib. I think when we recorded the podcast a couple days later, but yeah, at the time I didn't know at all. Or I must have forgotten it, because Mexico was a very good Grand Prix. Imagine if Ericsson gets a podium. Marcus Ericsson is starting on the 3rd row. Yes, that is an amazing turn of events. And I will get on to Sauber, because I think they're going to be very good today. Tonka Toy Truck saying go Sauber. Max Claydon thinks it'll be lap 46 that Daniel Ricciardo will retire. Ben McCarthy, rain could mix things. It could. Again, the chances are 50-50. It could happen. But, you know, there's been plenty of times this season. I think, was it for the Spanish Grand Prix, where there was a 90% chance of rain, and for most of the race it was sunny. So, yeah, don't count on rain, because this season we haven't had really any rain in the races at all, except, of course, for Hockenheim. Hello to Tamzid in the chat. Tonka Toy Truck, Daniel cannot DNF again. Surely not. Surely he has to finish this race. Surely. I can't believe he's had this much bad luck. But if it continues, it is getting so ridiculous. Max Claydon, I bet the rain will come on the last lap. That would be so exciting. Of course, reminiscent of 2008. Of course. Matthew Felton. If it rains today, it will be a two-man show. Hamilton and Verstappen. Yeah, most likely. Most likely. It depends though when it starts to rain, because for Verstappen, if it rains, say, 20 laps from the end, and Max is a minute off the lead, then he can't really do anything from where he's at. So for Max Verstappen, he needs it to rain at the start or during the first few laps, because if he ends up being so far off the leader, he's not going to do anything with where he is. So he needs it to rain, I think, quite early for the Grand Prix. But as I look right now, it's not raining at all, but there is a threat of rain. Ronan Brady, I thought this before Mexico, and look what happened to Ricciardo. Yep. Yeah, I think I was saying before the Mexican Grand Prix, surely it can't happen again, but it did. Tonka Toy Truck saying no rain, unfortunately, this afternoon. Please rain. Please. It probably won't, but we can always hope. And I'll say this as well, guys. Even if it doesn't rain, we're still going to have a good Grand Prix because the two Mercedes and the two Ferraris are going to be very close in this Grand Prix. So even if it doesn't rain, I still think we're going to get a exciting race and in the midfield as well. Sebastian, it better rain. When was the last time we had a wet race? Well, you know, the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim, it did rain, but it wasn't a wet race. It just rained for, what, 3 or 4 laps? So I wouldn't really count that as a wet race. It was just a race where we had a small shower. The last time we had a wet race was Singapore. But even that wasn't fully wet, but it was wet enough for, what, 15 or 20 laps. So, yes, Singapore 2017 was the last time we had a wet Grand Prix. Ronan Brady, stage a race in Ireland and you can guarantee rain and exciting racing. Also, if you hold a race, say the British Grand Prix in April, you're guaranteed rain like they did in 2000 at Silverstone, and it rained every single day except for race day. JB, the last full wet race was Brazil 2016. Yep, it was. Ben McCarthy, I'll be off for a while. I'll be back for the race. No problem. Don't give Liberty Media any ideas. They will have water sprinklers on the track. Well, Bernie Eccleston has already... how long ago was that? I think 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Bernie came up with that idea. Thank God. You know, people, the teams told him to stop, because that would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Rise, can Renault win 4th in the constructors here? Yes, they can, but it would take a miracle for it to be officially wrapped up at this race. So it won't be officially decided probably until Abu Dhabi, but it's basically over because I don't think Haas are going to gain 31 points on Renault in 2 races. I don't see it happening at all. And there's Ericsson, hi Jazza, looking for some interesting comment. By the way, great content for the quali. Thank you very much. Of course, qualifying was very, very controversial, and I think it's safe to say my live chat and my comment section got a bit toxic, just a bit. But right, we'll move on now from the top teams and go on to the midfield. By the way, guys, we're about 40 minutes away from the start of the race. So let's go through the midfield. First off, McLaren, pace-wise, I think they do have the worst car here in Brazil, so if it does stay dry, they are not going to score points at all. If they do, it'll either be because it rains or because of a miracle, because I don't see realistically how McLaren can score any points today. They are so slow. No surprise though, we knew this was going to happen coming in to the weekend. Next up is Renault. Renault also very poor. Now, in qualifying, I did not think they would be down in 14th and 16th. I thought they would be most likely around 12th, around that position. But to be 14th and 16th, it just shows you that the Renault power unit is now the worst on the grid, because if you look back to another power circuit we went to this season in Canada, Renault were at the front of the midfield. Here, they are almost at the back with McLaren and Williams. It's so embarrassing. Very poor performance, and also, like McLaren, I don't see how they do score points today. I don't see it at all. It has to rain for them to score points. And if they do score points in the dry, it will be either because they get an amazing start or there are loads of retirements in the top 10. We'll see what happens, but I do not see Renault scoring points today. Their car is so painfully slow in a straight line. And next up is Force India. Also disappointing. Only P12 and P13, and of course Esteban Ocon, because he has a gearbox penalty, will start in 18th. But so disappointing. Normally Force India are in, you know, P8, P9 at this Grand Prix. They've always been good here in Sao Paulo, but this weekend they just haven't got going at all. I don't know what's happened, but they don't have the pace. They really do not have the pace at all. And I said that in my qualifying review, comparing, you know, their history. By the way, if you've not checked out my review of qualifying, it's in the description down below. But again, I'm so surprised that they only qualified in P12 and P13, considering they have a Mercedes power unit and the Honda-powered Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly ended up in the top 10. I'm afraid that's just not good enough from Force India's point of view, in my opinion. But guys, what do you think about those three teams from McLaren and Renault? What do you see for them? Do they... sorry, my throat going there. Do you need... do they need rain to score points today? Or do you think they can score points in the dry? And for Force India, do you see a better performance in dry conditions here on race day? Let me know in the chat and I'll read out your comments and answer any questions. Right, let me take a look. Gina, are you doing a race review directly after race watch along? What I'm going to do, guys, is like I did in Mexico. So once the race finishes, I'm going to react with you guys to what's happened in the race for about an hour. And then tomorrow, I think it's 6 PM UK time, I am going to go live for a full review of the race. So I will be doing a reaction with you guys for about an hour after the race finishes as a part of the race watch along. Just looking through the chat now. Scuderia D, never underestimate Ericsson. True. JB, I think Force India have the 4th fastest race pace. I'm not sure about that. I think probably at best they have the 5th fastest race pace, because Haas, as we know on race day, can struggle on tyres. But I don't see how they'd be quicker than Sauber, because Sauber tend to be better on race day than they are in qualifying. And just look at how good Sauber were. So, yeah, I don't think they'll be 4th fastest with race pace. I think probably 5th fastest at best. Just looking, JB, the qualifying watch along was World War III. It was, after the whole Hamilton, Sirotkin and Vettel stuff, it truly was. But thank God we've got past it, and hopefully we're going to enjoy today's race. Matthew Felton, well, it's only 11:33 AM here. That will be, I don't know what part of the world you're in. West Coast in America, maybe? I'm not sure. Gina, I seriously think Sauber right now are 4th fastest. What do you think? Yeah, they are. They are. Just look at this weekend and look at qualifying. P7 and P8. And consistently through qualifying, Sauber were right in there in the top 10. So, yeah, that's not a blasphemous claim. Not at all. Matthew Felton saying East Coast of America. Okay. With you guys in America, I always get confused with the whole time difference. Sebastian says next season Sauber will be 5th fastest. Mr. Hall says Haas is 4th. Someone saying that I'm hoping Daniel doesn't have a DNF this time. We all do. But knowing him and knowing his luck, it probably will happen. because that's just the way his 2018 has panned out ever since Monaco. But I think, guys, we'll move on from those three teams and complete the rest of the field. Next up is Williams. Now, pace-wise, they are not the slowest. I think they are faster than McLaren because, of course, they do have a good car in a straight line. But I don't see how they're going to score points. Like Renault and like McLaren, they just don't have a fast enough car to do so. Maybe if it rains, then Lance Stroll can do what he usually does in the rain, which is put in a great performance. But in the normal dry conditions, I think Williams will not be scoring points. Next up is Toro Rosso. Pierre Gasly, of course, in the top 10 in P10, but will start P9 because of Daniel Ricciardo's penalty. And I think so far, Toro Rosso and Honda, more importantly Honda, have passed the test of this power circuit for their upgraded Honda power unit. So far, Honda are looking good, but can they do well enough in the race against Sauber, Haas, Force India? We'll have to see. I hope they do have a good race because it'd be great to see, of course, going into 2019 when Honda start to supply Red Bull. So I'm hoping that Honda and Toro Rosso have a good race and get a points finish. Will it happen? Most likely not for me, because I think Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, who starts P10, I think he has enough pace in his Haas to beat the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly. So I don't think they'll score points, but they're definitely, if they don't score points, it's going to be P11 or P12. They're very close pace-wise to Haas and even Sauber. Talking of Haas, let's go on to them. Qualifying for me, very similar to Ferrari, was disappointing. They should have qualified where Sauber did in P7 and P8, but they did not. Ended up in 9th and 11th. Of course, with Ricciardo's penalty, they start in 8th and 10th, but it should have been more. Throughout practice, Haas looked as though they did have the fastest car in the midfield, but then when it came to Q2 and Q3, they just did not produce it. And because they are now starting lower down than maybe they expected, I think they're under threat a bit when it comes to any tyre wear issues. Now, Haas are doing better this race because compared to Mexico, because the tyres are harder. But as we have seen, compared to Toro Rosso, Force India and Sauber, Haas definitely work their tyres more than those teams. So because they're starting a bit lower than they were expecting to, I think Haas might be under threat. I think they should have the pace to score points with both cars, but don't be surprised if they drop back because of bad tyre wear. And finally is Sauber. What a qualifying for them, and for Marcus Ericsson, his best qualifying performance of his entire career, qualifying in P7, and because of Ricciardo's penalty, will start on the 3rd row of the grid in P6. What a performance, and I hope for Marcus that he does score a lot of points today. I really do, because he deserves it. He has worked very hard this year to get closer to his teammate, and I think he has, at the end of this season, got closer to Charles Leclerc. He's having a fantastic end to 2018, and even though he's not on the grid next year, it would be great to see him having a very strong Brazilian Grand Prix. So hopefully he does have one, and of course for Charles Leclerc, hopefully he also does have a strong race. But guys, what do you think for those 4 teams? For Williams, can they score points? For Toro Rosso, do you think with Pierre Gasly they have enough pace to finish in the points? For Haas, will they score points with both cars? And for Sauber, do you think they will be at the front of the midfield still in the Grand Prix? I think they will. I think they have enough pace, especially with Charles Leclerc to do so. Put in the chat right now and I will read out what you guys have to say. Right, let's take a look. By the way, thanks to the 100 people watching live right now. And as ever, if you are new, we do this every race weekend and we will be doing this for 2019. So if you are new, don't forget to subscribe at the bottom right of the screen or click on my channel name, go to my channel page and subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's see what you guys have to say. Andrew Drury says, the weather app on my phone says that it's raining at Interlagos. I'm looking right now, the sun is actually out at Interlagos, so I'm not too sure about your weather app. You might have to find a different one. Sebastian, Leclerc will finish best of the rest today. Maybe. He has a very good chance of doing so. Crystal Racing, Ericsson to nick a cheeky podium. If he got a podium, that would be one of the best moments in the last 3 or 4 years. You know, for us guys in the F1 community, because Ericsson, and I'm sure as you guys know for a certain other F1 channel, is a bit of a meme. So yeah, it'd be great to see that, but I don't think that is going to happen. But if it did, wow, 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 wow. Hello to Ultraman Nexus. Let me just have a look at these comments. Crystal Racing says, or predicts, Daniel Ricciardo will suffer a wheel nut issue. Well, let's not predict the exact thing that's going to happen. By the way, before I read any more comments out, I just want to say, on Sky F1 right now, Martin Brundle is interviewing Timo Glock at the final corner for obvious reasons. So, there you go. Everything has come full circle. 10 years later. Andrew Drury, all hail Lord Marcus of Ericsson. Yep, there you go. JB Leclerc will have the inside line for the first corner. He'll get Ericsson at turn 1. That is true. That is true. But there's no guarantee you're going to get a good start initially. So we'll have to see what Charles does. Ultraman Nexus, will Daniel retire again? I don't want to predict it. I really don't. I want to just hope that he actually finishes. But yeah, we'll see. Everyone shouting out Timo Glock. Yep, he is on my TV screen right now. With a bit of grey hair as well. Just shows you that he's not the... he wasn't that young when he was in F1 10 years ago. He was actually quite old. Right, I'm just looking through now. See what you guys are saying. Just looking through the chat. Max Claydon, I can't believe Glock is here. Yeah, I can't believe they actually got him out to Brazil. I can't believe they did that. Anders Ericsson, after the qualifying, I expect the drivers to be excited. So, or are you saying excited or exhausted? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. But yeah, I think I will now move on from that and go on to my one to watch in the Grand Prix. And guys, make sure to put your one to watch in the comments and in the live chat, and I'll read it out over the next couple of minutes. But guys, my one to watch is Charles Leclerc, because, you know, look, Marcus Ericsson was fantastic in qualifying, but I don't think Ericsson has enough pace throughout the entire Grand Prix to beat Charles Leclerc. I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if Ericsson beat him, because Ericsson has been very good this weekend. But I just think that Charles Leclerc has enough pace to beat Ericsson in the race. And because the Sauber car is so fast right now and so fast down the Interlagos Straits. I wouldn't be surprised if he was not only at the front of the midfield, but dominating that Formula 1.5 battle, I guess you could say. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he has been always in the top 10 this weekend, very, very quick. And I think Charles Leclerc will be the one to watch. But guys, who is your one to watch for this Grand Prix? Is it Charles Leclerc? Is it Marcus Ericsson? Is it Daniel Ricciardo? Esteban Ocon from P18 on the grid? Perez maybe? Or Magnussen? Who is your one to watch for this race? Put in the chat right now, and I will read out as many as I can before we move on to the next topic. Right, let me take a look. Max Clayton Leclerc is mine too. Yeah. Someone saying there, I think it's Vahan. If Ericsson performs, it will be a wonderful surprise. It would. It would. I don't think anyone is necessarily expecting Ericsson to maintain that pace over the race, over, you know, Charles Leclerc. Scuderia D says both of the Saubers. I was actually thinking when I was setting the stream up, maybe I should put both of the Saubers, but I just think Charles Leclerc will beat Ericsson quite handily in this race. Someone's in there, George saying go Lewis. JB, also Ocon, I think he'll make a decent comeback. Ocon should finish in the top 11 or 12. His car is not at its best this weekend, but it's definitely faster than the Renaults and the McLarens and the Brendan, the Toro Rosso, Brendan Hartley. So he should be passing some people. Prussia says Bottas. Max Clayton says maybe Grosjean. I'm not sure about Grosjean. I don't know why. For this race, I'm not sure about Grosjean. His finishing record at this track is not that great in terms of getting to the end of the race. In 2012 and 2013 and last year, he retired quite early on. So I'm not too sure about Grosjean pace-wise being one to watch. Gina, Vettel is my one to watch. Let's see if he bottles it again. I hope he doesn't, because if he gets, past the first corner and, gets up to turn 4 without making a mistake, we're going to have a very competitive race between him and Lewis Hamilton and Bottas and so on and so forth. So hopefully he doesn't, because it would kind of ruin what's going to be, I think, a very good race. JB says about Leclerc, damn, I can't wait until this kid is in a Ferrari. I cannot wait to see what he does against Hamilton and Vettel and, of course, Max Verstappen as well. Let's not forget him. Andrew Drury, Grosjean will crash. I'd bet on it. Crystal Racing, Vettel and Hamilton first corner crash. I don't think so. I think when it comes to Brazil, because from pole position and the front row, because it's such a short run to turn 1, there's no real chance of an accident, because you're not really getting up to any proper speed. So then, when you hit the brakes, you're not going to be locking up, because you're not really gathering enough speed to do so. Normally at Brazil, accidents at the first corner will happen in the midfield, because they can't gather enough momentum to do so. JB says he's off to watch the race. Hopefully you do enjoy it. Peter, Katie Matthews, when does the race start? The race starts in 20 minutes time, and I guess that is a good time now to move on to a very important topic, which is the tyre situation here in Interlagos. These are the race sets that all the drivers have for this Grand Prix. And let's go through them. So, as you can see there at the top, Hamilton and Bottas have one new set of the mediums and softs. Mercedes, of course, are starting on the super soft tyres. So I think for Mercedes, they are going to go from super soft to soft for this race. I think for Ferrari, they're going to go soft to medium. So the second stint is going to be interesting of this race because Mercedes might have enough pace to then get back up to Ferrari if Ferrari get ahead of them because of having better tyres in the first stint. And then as I scroll down, you can see there, by the way, as well, Ricciardo and Verstappen have no new sets of the mediums, but do have one new set of the soft tyres. So for them, definitely super soft to soft. And as I just scroll down, so I think the cars starting outside, or the drivers, sorry, who qualified outside of the top 10, I think they will definitely be going for the soft tyre because it is just a better tyre. And as I look at the screen right now, it is sunny at Interlagos, and you know, Brazil is a very hot place, and you do not want the softer, grippier tyre. You don't. You want the tyre that's more durable. So I think, you know, the Force Indias, the Williamses, the Renaults, I think they'll be definitely going on to the soft tyre to start with and then going on to the mediums to end with. But there you go. That is the tyre situation. And I think the most interesting part of the strategy will be between Mercedes and Ferrari because, again, this is what I think is going to happen. I think Mercedes will go super soft to soft, and Ferrari, who start on the softs, will go soft to medium. So, for Mercedes, if they can hold off Ferrari, then they should have enough pace to beat them in the race. If they can hold them off in the first stint and not suffer from really bad tyre wear. But from Ferrari's point of view, they have to, with Vettel, get past Lewis Hamilton via an overtake before Hamilton pits. Because if Hamilton pits before Vettel, makes a move and goes onto the soft tyre, I think Mercedes will probably, I mean, of course we don't know, but I think he'll probably win the race if that does happen. But Ferrari again should, in the first stint, have very good pace. But now we'll move on from that and go on to, guys, the best places here at Interlagos to overtake. The first place, of course, is turn 1, not only at the start but also on the run from Junsao, the final real corner here at Interlagos. The run up the hill all the way down to turn 1. With DRS, you can definitely go for the move. There is no doubt about it. And I think if you are, say, in the midfield, if you're in a car that in a straight line is not doing that well, and your race pace is not that great, especially in the middle sector, you are going to fall down the field. Because I think we will see plenty of overtaking via DRS. So that's definitely something to watch out for. And then the second place that you need to watch out for overtaking is the run from turn 3 to turn 4, where there's another DRS zone. Now, it's a lot harder to pass into turn 4 because the way the first couple of corners is, the center S is, you can, with these, of course, these aerodynamics we have currently in F1, you can get caught up in the dirty air and lose a bit of time. So it is a lot harder to make a move into turn 4 than it is into turn 1. But you definitely can, with DRS, do so. And definitely watch out for close racing going into turn 4. We've seen plenty of accidents in the past between cars trying to make a move into turn 4. Like Schumacher and Montoya in 2002, Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher in 2001. There was a massive one in 94 involving Brundle and Eddie Irvine and drivers like that. And of course, who else was it? I think Kimi Raikkonen and Mark Webber in 2009. So you could see some accidents down into turn 4. But now, guys, I'm going to get on to who I predict to win this race and finish on the podium. And I'm going to do that right now. And by the way, guys, make sure once I'm done to put yours in the chat for the next 15 minutes, and I will read out as many as possible. For the race win, I am going with Sebastian Vettel because I think Mercedes will struggle on their rear tyres, and I think Ferrari, even if they were starting on the super soft tyres, would have good enough tyre wear to beat Mercedes, and because they start on the harder compound, I think Ferrari have enough pace to do so. Hopefully Vettel does not bottle it or vottle it, as I know some of you would like to say. Again, he has the pace and he has the best strategy, I think, to win this Grand Prix. So if he doesn't, I would be very disappointed if I was a Ferrari fan. He should win this Grand Prix. In second place, I am going for Kimi Raikkonen because I think Kimi has, I don't know what it is, when it comes to qualifying, I don't think he pushes enough, if you know what I mean. When it comes to the race, he's very smooth, very good at looking after his tyres, and I think that will help him in today's Grand Prix and lead to a Ferrari 1-2 here in Brazil. The last time they had a 1-2 here, Ferrari, was when Kimi Raikkonen won his only World Championship in 2007. So a long time ago, but that is what I am predicting. Again, because basically they're starting on the soft compound tyre. And in third place, I'm going for Lewis Hamilton because I just think on that super soft tyre, as now the sun is beating down on the track and it's getting hotter and hotter, I just think that Mercedes are going to struggle, especially on their rear tyres. And, you know, coming out of the final corner, for example, when it comes to, you know, can Vettel get past Hamilton, you cannot have bad rear tyre wear coming out of that corner because it costs you going all the way to turn 1, and it's a long way to turn 1. So I think Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes will struggle on tyre wear, and Lewis Hamilton will finish in third. In fourth, I'm going to go Max Verstappen, and in fifth, I'm going to go Valtteri Bottas with Daniel Ricciardo in P6. But guys, who do you predict to win this race, to finish in second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth? What do you think is going to happen in this race? Make sure to put in the chat right now, guys. And for the next 15 minutes, I will read out what you guys think is going to happen. So make sure to put it in the chat right now. Right, let me cut to this. Let's see what you guys have to say. Vottle it, yep. That's not me who's come up with that, by the way. That is, I can't remember his name. I think, was it John Hubner? I think it is, who came up with it. So yeah, that's not me. Someone's saying Leclerc wins. That would be amazing, but we need rain. Prussia, can you do a greatest bleep ups by Vettel and Ferrari video at the end of the season? I am going to be doing an end of season review of, you know, Ferrari's season in kind of two separate videos. I am going to be doing, you know, the first end of season review is going to be Hamilton and Vettel. That's what I'm going to be reviewing for the end of the season. But I'm definitely going to include all of their mishaps, no doubt, because it has had an effect on this World Championship. I guess Vottelet is going to stick. Yeah, it kind of has. Anders Ericsson, Kimi to win. That's interesting. Vettel second and Hamilton in third. James Zhu wants Bottas to win. I don't think he will. I think basically because his car just isn't good on its tyres. Legion goes Vettel to win, Raikkonen second, Hamilton third, Verstappen 4th, Bottas 5th, Leclerc 6th, and Ricciardo to DNF because I'm a bit cynical. It wouldn't be a surprise if he retired, but let's not, let's not jinx him. The dark horse is Verstappen. I wouldn't say he's the dark horse. I think the dark horse is Kimi Raikkonen in this race. You have to watch out for Kimi Raikkonen because he's had plenty of podiums here in Brazil. 2003, where he should have won because he didn't win because the red flag came out and stopped the race when he was going to win that Grand Prix. 2004, he was second. 2005, he was third. 2007, of course, he won the race and the championship. 2008, he was in third. And then he's finished on the podium here since his comeback. I think only once in last year in 2017. So he's had plenty of podiums here. Right, let's take a look at your predictions. Louis says Bottas, Vettel, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Hamilton. Ricciardo to finish in third. That is a very ambitious top 5. Very ambitious. Ben Hall is going for the Iceman. Let me just cut to... There you go. Of the Iceman. There you go. I think he was on the podium in 2012 or 2013. That's in Prussia. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. In 2012 was that famous moment where he drove down the escape road thinking it was the track. And he finished in P10. And then 2013, he didn't actually show up. Heikki Kovalainen took his place for that race. Ultraman Nexus. Will Grosjean get a race ban if he crashes last 2 races in a row? It depends what it is. If he locks up and goes straight into a driver, then he might get a race ban for Abu Dhabi. It depends on the incident, really. Crafterman thinks yes. Right, let's look through more of your comments and your predictions. Again, keep putting in your comments in the next 10 minutes and I'll read it out ahead of the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Anders Ericsson, Verstappen can tilt. My prediction equals dark horse. Okay. Dylan Tate, I think it is. Hamilton, he's not won after being crowned champion. Indeed, he hasn't. And I think that's what's going to happen today. I think he'll finish in third. As Vettel, for me, will win this race. John Murphy, if Hamilton first and Bottas second, do you think that Hamilton will let him win? It depends where Ferrari are. Say if Ferrari have both cars out of the race and Verstappen is I don't know, half a minute behind, then yes, I think that will happen. But don't count on it. It all depends on where Ferrari are. If Ferrari are right behind, I don't think they will because it'll be too risky. But if they're dominant in a 1-2, then yeah, I think that would happen. Because he does have to kind of give it back. Bottas did help him out there. Even though it didn't matter in the end, it counted towards Lewis's championship. So I think, paying him back would be a nice sign of respect. Prussia, I think he said he won't give him a win. Well, he should because, Bottas was nice enough to give him a win and didn't have to, of course. Hamilton's ego won't let Bottas past. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, we'll see. I can't remember Lewis ever letting a teammate pass to finish ahead of him. I can't remember that ever happening. I think he did it once for Jenson Button, but that was because he had a gearbox problem. But I don't think he's ever done it as a sentimental thing. Hamilton will not pull a Schumacher 2002. Yep, that was the US Grand Prix, wasn't it? Was it Indianapolis? And I don't think Michael was actually trying to give Rubens a win. People saying Hungary 2017. Oh yeah, he did it there, didn't he? True. But he doesn't come across though as a guy that would do that as much as, you know, Vettel or someone else. I remember, yeah, Schumacher did that time. I remember Mika Hakkinen doing it at his final ever F1 race, as paying back to Coulthard for Coulthard doing it in the past. Dylan Tate, Hamilton respects Bottas more than people give him credit for. He does. He absolutely does respect him. And I think people are kind of overrating, like, any, I don't know, tension or what Lewis thinks of Valtteri in a bad way. I don't know, but I you know, they have a great relationship. It's clear to see that. There you go, there's a sparking Red Bull. I know you guys love to see that. Right, and by the way guys, if you are new to the watch-alongs, what I do is, obviously because I can't show race footage live because of obvious copyright issues, what I do is I grab as many photos as I can find on Twitter, throw them on the screen, and what I'm going to do is provide a radio commentary of what is going on. So there you go. That's what I do here. Scuderidu says, yeah, that is why. That is why I can't do it, obviously. Ben McCarthy, did you see Lewis meeting, he didn't meet obviously the real Fangio, but Juan Manuel Fangio II on YouTube. I saw it on Twitter. Earlier, it was nice to see. James Zoo, I think the team just bullies Bottas, only Hamilton's respect him. I don't think the team bullies him. You know, what's happened for Valtteri in 2018 is more of the team's fault, but I don't think they're critical of Valtteri because he should have at least 2 race wins in 2018, which have been cost because of things he can't control. So, yeah. Hello to Raghav Gupta, who's in the chat. James Stevens, Chaz's consistency is appreciated. Thank you very much. I will, again, be doing this for 2019, and I will be trying to make some improvements to the watch-alongs. You'll definitely notice a difference compared to now for the first race in Australia, for sure. But, right, I'll start loading up my Twitter, ready for the start of this race. But again, guys, if you're just joining, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We do this every single race weekend. So, make sure to subscribe on the bottom right of the screen or click on my channel name, go to my channel page and subscribe for more content like this. So, we are getting ready for the start of this race. And again, guys, put your predictions for the race in the chat. And I will read out as many as I can before the race actually starts. So, right, let me just... As the formation lap is about to get underway. As, by the way, everyone who qualified outside the top 10 except for Sergio Perez is on the soft tyre. And also except for Brendan Hartley, who is on the medium tyre. So, very interesting, as they are now going to begin the formation lap here at Interlagos. As it will start right about now, as I'm about to throw up a picture on the screen for you guys to show you what the drivers... Oh, Kimi, the Ferraris, they were slow off the line then. I thought that they stalled, but they didn't. I'm just going to throw up an image on the screen for you guys showing what the drivers are competing for in today's race. there it is. The trophy everyone today wants to win. Who will win? Put in the chat right now, and I will make sure to read out all of your comments. Yet Vettel was very slow for the formation lap. I don't know why. This is the thing though. Hopefully he wasn't doing a practice start, because you're not allowed on the formation lap to do practice starts. You're allowed to weave and get your tyres up to temperature by putting, plenty of throttle in and, just weaving about. But you're not allowed to do practice starts on a formation lap. So I hope he wasn't doing that, as they're now coming to the middle of the track. So we're not far away, guys, from the start of this race. As they now come up to turn... What turn is that? Turn number 11. Comes Lewis Hamilton. And Prosser just saying he rolled off but was very slow. He was, but again, he might have been trying to do a practice start, which again is not allowed, but I don't think he was. I think he wasn't doing anything like that. As Lewis Hamilton now climbs the hill to start this race, he has to climb up the hill, of course, and go to the starting grid. So, here we go. Who will get the jump at the start? Will Ferrari get what they normally do, is a very good start? They always do get a good start, Ferrari. So we'll see what they do. Off the line as Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas are now coming on to the grid. I'll try if I can. Right, I'll just throw up a picture of the formation lap in a minute as they're lining up on the grid. So here you go. That's Vettel on the right getting away quite slowly, but it doesn't matter now, as we are about to start the Brazilian Grand Prix. Of course, guys, the Constructors' Championship is still on the line. Ferrari can close the gap today, but also Mercedes can win the Constructors. So here we go, and the 5 lights are on. 3, 4, 5, and lights out, and away we go here at Interlagos. Who has got the jump? Lewis Hamilton has got a very good start, and Valtteri Bottas has. Oh, Vettel locks the inside left of his soft compound tyre, and Bottas is up to second. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Verstappen has got past Raikkonen, so off the line, the soft tyres have not worked. As Bottas gets a slipstream on Hamilton and stays behind, as Raikkonen goes running outside of Verstappen and makes it stick. Great overtake by Kimi Raikkonen around the outside of Max Verstappen. Fantastic. So, Hamilton leads from Bottas second, third is Vettel, fourth is Raikkonen. Ericsson, by the way, has had a horrible start. Ericsson's down to 9th, as Ricciardo passes Magnussen around the outside of turn 10. So Hamilton is already building a lead now, as we come to Jinsao and now climb the hill. Ricciardo looking very close to Marcus Ericsson. He will make a move very soon. But as they come across the start-finish line, it's Hamilton leading from Valtteri Bottas second, Vettel third, Raikkonen fourth, Verstappen fifth, Leclerc sixth, Grosjean seventh, Gasly eighth, Ericsson ninth. Ricciardo dives down the inside, so Ricciardo is now 9th, Ericsson is 10th, Magnussen 11th, Perez 12th, Sainz 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Alonso 15th, and then Hartley, Sirotkin, Stroll, Ocon and Van Dorn round out the field, as Magnussen challenging Ericsson here. Magnussen is on soft compound tyres and goes off the track trying to get past. So not good there, as the Renault of, who is that? Carlos Sainz made a good start, challenging the Force India of Sergio Perez. So Bottas making a good start there. Vettel, though, is very close to him. As the two Renaults here battling very hard. And who is that going around the outside? It's Hulkenberg. Is he gonna do the move? Yes, he is. Great move by Nico Hulkenberg. Sainz is going around the outside. And oh, they must have touched them. That was a very aggressive move from Carlos Sainz. I'm not sure about that at all. As look at this, Max Verstappen closing on Raikkonen, dives down the outside, not the inside, and Max Verstappen's up to P4 and sets the fastest lap of the race. Wow, Max Verstappen coming alive already. Right, I'll just show you a picture, but Max Verstappen gets past. And Verstappen, by the way, not too far behind Vettel. So Verstappen is flying right now. Of course, because the Red Bull can look after their tyres more, they'll get better performance out of the super soft tyres. As Vettel is close to Bottas. Bottas has already got a train behind him. Right. Here you go. There's the start as Verstappen already closing on Vettel. And Raikkonen dropping back a bit. That is not looking good for Kimi Raikkonen. Where is his pace right now? As they now climb the hill. Vettel looks quite close to Bottas. I want to see that right now. Can Vettel go for the move? I'm not sure. But Verstappen goes down the inside of Vettel into turn 1 and makes the move. Great move by Max Verstappen. He is flying today. Diving down the inside, making Vettel look like an amateur. Flying down the inside, very reminiscent of Montoya and Michael Schumacher. And Ferrari are struggling on the soft tyres. Look at this by Verstappen, down the inside, forces Vettel off the track. Well, not literally off the track, but forces him wide. As the Ferraris are struggling, they're falling way behind, and Vettel is now behind Kimi Raikkonen. Does Vettel have an issue? What's going on? And by the way, Charles Leclerc in the Sauber, not the Ferrari, in the Sauber, is not that far behind the Ferraris. And Vettel locked up going into turn 4 and Raikkonen got past. So Sebastian Vettel is struggling so much. And what can Max now do against Bottas? He's only half a second behind. And Bottas definitely is trying to hold back the field to help out his teammate. What a race so far. Right, as Max is... And as Ricciardo now gets past Leclerc. So, well, if Max can go down the inside of Vettel, I'm pretty sure Daniel Ricciardo can. So get ready, guys, for what could be very exciting action very soon. So, the order on lap 5 is Hamilton leading from Bottas second. Hold on, we'll just watch the replay. So, at the start, Bottas got a better start. Vettel locked his inside tyre and Bottas just went clean around the outside. Very nice move from the Finn. And then pulled ahead and got a slipstream off Lewis Hamilton. But of course, Valtteri was not going to go for the move for obvious reasons. Now the replay. So round the outside, a lot better grip on the outside and on the super soft tyres. Not really a surprise because you want to be on the softest tyre possible for the start. But for a long stint, you want to be on the harder tyre. But Ferrari don't look that good right now on that harder tyre. As Ericsson does make contact with the Haas, or the barge board of the Haas there. He got so close to Grosjean. This is Gasly going, I think, Gasly almost got hit by some debris there as he was racing Magnussen. And then I guess got past him somehow. As replay of Ricciardo getting past Ericsson. Right, I'll just grab a quick picture of Verstappen getting past Vettel. But what a race we've had so far, I have to say. only 5 laps in, we've had a lot happen. As Max is all over the back of Valtteri Bottas. Max is flying right now. So here you go. This is how Max Verstappen got past Sebastian Vettel down the inside at turn 1. But we'll wait to see if Verstappen makes the move first before I read out the order, because I want to see if Verstappen can make the move down into turn 1. I don't think he can. I don't think he's close enough. We'll see though. He's in the slipstream. Will he go down the inside? Valtteri defends, so Valtteri knows he's there. As there's debris on the track there, but it's on the outside of the corner. I don't think they are going to bring out a safety car for that, because it's off the track almost. And Max will not pass here. So the running order after 7 laps of the Brazilian Grand Prix is: Hamilton leads from Bottas second, third is Verstappen, fourth is Raikkonen, fifth is Vettel, sixth is Ricciardo, seventh is Charles Leclerc, eighth is Romain Grosjean, then ninth is Gasly, 10th is Ericsson, and closing in on Gasly, and then Magnussen in P11, Perez 12th, Sainz 13th, Hülkenberg in 14th, 15th is Alonso, 16th is Hartley, 17th Ocon, 18th is Sirotkin, 19th is Stroll, and last of all, of course, Stoffel Van Dorn. So there you go. That is the order as Max Verstappen climbs the hill. He looks closer to me this time on Valtteri Bottas, and now enables the DRS. He's going to go for the move here, I think. And, oh, he does, but Bottas moves late in the braking zone. Not too sure about that, but now Max will close in at turn 3, but I think we'll have to wait. But Bottas is helping out Lewis Hamilton so well right now. And by the way, the 2 Ferraris are also within DRS of Max. So we have a 4-car train for second place. And Ricciardo is just out of DRS of Vettel in P6. As replay there of Ericsson's car shaking to bits and losing some part on his car there. Must have been from the incident with, I guess that's Magnussen at the start. James Stevens, why do you not like Lewis? I don't not like him. I don't, you know, I'm just saying the truth. Valtteri is helping Lewis Hamilton out a lot right now, because that Red Bull is the fastest car on the track right now. Not the Mercedes. Verstappen, though, right now is too far behind to go for a move on Bottas. I will say, though, the field is quite close. Charles Leclerc's in P7, and he's only 3 seconds behind. So, quite a close field we have. And a lot of people within DRS. Grosjean is within DRS of Leclerc. Magnussen is right behind Ericsson. I'd like to see that right now, but I don't think we are. I guess Magnussen will make the move. Yet Magnussen has gone up to P10, and so has... And Perez and Sainz have gone past Ericsson. We're not seeing it, but that's what's happened. And Hülkenberg's now very close. Hülkenberg is now past Ericsson. Ericsson is down to 14th. By the way, it's lap 9 out of 71. And now Alonso is on the back of Ericsson. So Marcus Ericsson is struggling like crazy. As now Max closes in a bit on Valtteri Bottas. Is he close enough here? He is close enough. Max is absolutely close enough here. DRS enabled. He's got to make the move. Valtteri's going to have to defend here, because Max is going to go down the inside and makes the move. There's nothing Bottas can do. He doesn't have the grip of the Red Bull. Max Verstappen is putting on a show for these Brazilian fans and is up to second place. And Bottas now closes on Verstappen, but will not get past. And I think now Verstappen will run away from Bottas, because Bottas is not quick right now. And what can Max do about Lewis Hamilton? Can he close in or not? Lewis is not that far ahead. He's only 1.5 seconds ahead. So we'll see. As now the two Ferraris are stalking the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, and Ricciardo is as well. This is such a good race. What a race so far. 10 laps in and we have in the top guys racing like hell. As what can Raikkonen do up the hill? I think Raikkonen will get past there. Yeah, he'll get past here. So slipstream for Kimi Raikkonen up the hill. He should get a run. And here comes Kimi Raikkonen to get a run on Valtteri Bottas. Bottas defends. Raikkonen goes to the outside. And cuts back. He'll have to do a bit of a switch back through here to get a run. He does. And yes, Raikkonen will go for the move here. Here comes the Iceman on the fin. Gets in the slipstream. Goes round the outside. Can Raikkonen go past? He goes round the outside. And there is somehow not contact. As Valtteri holds on to third. What a race. Raikkonen tries around the outside but doesn't go for it. Don't go for it there, Kimi. You're going to hit your front wing off. What a race this is. Fantastic. This is exactly what F1 is all about. Forget all the nonsense yesterday. This is what we love F1. Or this is why, sorry, we love F1. Let me try if I can to put an image on the screen during this melee as we have a train behind Valtteri Bottas. So let me... I'm not sure Raikkonen will get past here because I don't think he's close enough. We'll see. Oh, Bottas has to defend again. Raikkonen around the outside. Does Bottas go wide? Slightly wide, but not dramatically. Can Raikkonen be close enough here? I'm not sure he can. He'll get in the slipstream. And here comes Kimi. No, he's not going to go for the move there. By the way, Charles Leclerc, not that far off a podium. He's only about 5 seconds off. Right, I'll just show you here what Valtteri Bottas was doing before Max Verstappen passed him, holding up a lot of cars. And he's doing it now to the two Ferraris and the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. Tonka Toy Truck, the track has really warmed up, 39 degrees Celsius. That's why Bottas is struggling, because Mercedes do not like a hot track. And by the way, Hamilton is only a second ahead of Max Verstappen. Verstappen is flying right now. Bottas has pulled out a bit of a gap on Raikkonen, but as we are now waiting, I guess, for more action, I'm going... Let's just see here if Ricciardo... No, he's not going to go for the move there, surely. No, he won't. Let's read out the running order, shall we? So Hamilton leads from Max Verstappen second, Bottas third, Raikkonen fourth, Vettel fifth, Ricciardo sixth, Leclerc is in P7, then Grosjean in P8. I hope Ricciardo's not pulling over there. No, he's not. Magnussen is 9th, Gasly is 10th, and then out of the points, we have no retirements, by the way, as we'll just watch here before we read out what happened here. So Magnussen around the outside, and that's why Ericsson dropped down the field. He got pushed off the track at turn 2. That's a great move by Magnussen. Look at that. Shoves him off. Yeah, have some of that. That's fantastic from K-Mag. Ericsson will have to pit soon because he's down in about 14th place, I think. Oh, the Force India there almost hit him, and the Renault did well as well. So that's your top 10, and the people outside of the points are Perez, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Ericsson, Alonso, Ocon, Hartley, Sirotkin, Stroll, and Van Dorn. So, what's going to happen here then with Bottas? Will he get past or not? Raikkonen is 0.6 of a second behind. So, he's still getting the DRS. And as the laps go on, guys, and by the way, it is lap 14. As the laps go on, the more it comes to Ferrari because it will suit, tyre wear wise, the Ferrari more because they're on the soft and harder compound of tyre. As Verstappen now that within a second of Lewis Hamilton, Raikkonen still stalking the rear wing of Bottas. By the way, just to show that Bottas is so slow right now, he's already over 4 seconds behind Verstappen. And Verstappen passed him about 5 laps ago. So Bottas has no pace at all. He has absolutely nothing compared to Max. Raikkonen is being patient. Yeah, I think he is. But I think Raikkonen here needs to be a bit more aggressive because Bottas is going way too slow. And this is costing Ferrari the race. As Verstappen only 1.3 seconds behind Hamilton. And you have to say, Red Bull can win this race. They can win this race. They have enough to win. I didn't think that'd be the case. You guys heard me during the build-up. I said at best they'll get 3rd place if they get a bit of luck. But right now, they could win this race. They really could. As this is Ocon getting past Alonso, also running outside into turn 2. Great move by Ocon. Putting the manners on Alonso. Alonso, though, I think got a run on him, but did not get past. But yeah, Red Bull are looking very quick. Very quick. As I'm just looking at Raikkonen here. Raikkonen is 0.6 of a second behind. But this is great because we have racing throughout the field. Just so good to see as Raikkonen is going to close on Bottas here. I think Bottas might need to defend. He does. Bottas defends. But goes a bit wide. That's going to cost him time. And now closes in on Bottas. And yeah, Kimi's going to go for the move here. Here we go. Down into turn 4. DRS, slipstream. And Bottas defends. Raikkonen will do the switch back. Will it work? I don't think it will, but Raikkonen is very close. He's closing in now. Can Raikkonen go running outside? Oh, no, he doesn't, but gets so close to the back of him. What a race. I can't believe that we've had 15 laps of pure brilliance when it comes to racing. As Mercedes look like they're ready for a pit stop. Maybe they're going to do a 2-stop. Maybe, we'll have to see. I'll read out the positions in a moment as Fernando Alonso has just pitted. We'll wait for Valtteri Bottas and Raikkonen to come down the pit straight again before I read out the order because Raikkonen could at any time get past. As I'll now try and find a picture. And, oh, what happened there for Alonso? He stalled the car, I think. I think Alonso just stalled the car. But Raikkonen, he's not close enough this time. Let me just post this image, sorry. And then I will read out your entire race order. Let me just throw this on the screen to show you guys the train behind Valtteri Bottas. And by the way, Charles Leclerc is only 2.5 seconds behind Ricciardo. So, if Bottas stays out, even more, Leclerc could join that battle. So, the race order on lap 17 out of 71 is Hamilton leading from Verstappen second. Third is Bottas. Fourth is Raikkonen. Fifth, Vettel. Sixth, Ricciardo. Seventh is Charles Leclerc. Eighth is Grosjean. Ninth is Magnussen. 10th is Pierre Gasly. Ferrari are coming out for medium tyres. And then not in the points are Perez, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Ericsson, Hartley, Stroll, Van Dorn, Sirotkin and Alonso. But Ferrari have just pulled a dummy pit stop. Dummy pit stop by Ferrari. And by the way, Raikkonen, I think, is now struggling because he's out of DRS behind Bottas. So what's going on for the Iceman? And if he is struggling, he needs to let Sebastian Vettel through so Vettel can have a go. Because Raikkonen looks like he's struggling now. He's now 1.5 seconds behind Bottas. What's happened to Kimi Raikkonen? He's nowhere now. No pace at all. Maybe that pit stop was for Kimi. He's dropping even more time. I think they've got to let Vettel through here. I think they've got to let Sebastian through here, because if Kimi continues to drop back, then they're costing themselves even more. Here come Mercedes though. Who is this going to be? This is going to be for Valtteri Bottas, who does the fastest second sector. Where was that 10 laps ago? And Bottas is in. Bottas pits. Puts on the medium compound tyres. And goes on his way. By the way, because the midfield is so close to the top teams, Bottas is going to rejoin outside of the points, I think. As Verstappen does a fastest lap of 13.5 in the Red Bull. Bottas rejoins in 9th place. Just shows you how close the midfield is. And Lewis's rear tyres are blistering. So he'll have to pit very soon. And I think for Mercedes, you definitely have to watch out for them at the end, because they are going to hold people up with their bad tyre wear, even though they're going onto the mediums. And just look at the left front. That left front is dead. They have to pit soon, surely. And he does. Lewis Hamilton comes into the pits. Gets it slowed down. Yep, there you go. And now pits as Max Verstappen continues in the lead. They put on the medium tyres and he goes on his way. Will those medium tyres work? The only driver who started on the mediums was Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley is 15th and going nowhere. So I'm not too sure about the medium tyre right now, but we'll see. As Hamilton comes out in P7 behind Leclerc and Grosjean. Of course, Leclerc and Grosjean have not pitted. Looking good for Sauber and for Haas. As Hamilton now goes through turn 4. I'll wait, guys, for the pit stops to, do their thing with the top teams, and then I will read out the order, because we are now in the pit stop window, and it's going to change around quite a lot. As I'm sure Max will come into the pits probably now. As Hamilton closes on Grosjean. He'll go for the move on Grosjean very soon. And as we look at Max Verstappen's tyres, they look absolutely fine. They look brilliant. Just shows you Red Bull's tyres are, in terms of them managing their tyres, they are great at doing so. As Max goes round again. I think they are going to go for the soft compound tyre. And because Mercedes are going for mediums to the end, I think Red Bull are going aggressive. Great to see. As, who is that? That's Marcus Ericsson, who's had a disaster of a race. A dream qualifying has turned into a nightmare Grand Prix. So, yeah, not good for Ericsson, as he is now at the back of the grid. But I will now read out the order here on lap 21. Verstappen is leading from Raikkonen second, Vettel third, Ricciardo fourth, Leclerc is fifth, Hamilton is sixth but has pitted, and then seventh is Grosjean, eighth is Magnussen, ninth is Bottas. Bottas has pitted, as Ericsson I think is about to retire. Yeah, he's definitely going to retire. And then Perez is 10th, Gasly is 11th, 12th is Sainz, 13th Hulkenberg, 14th is Ocon, 15th is Hartley, 16th is Van Dorn, and then you have Sirotkin, Stroll and Alonso in 17th, 18th and 19th who have pitted as Ericsson comes in to retire. Such a shame for Marcus, but there you go. As Tonka Toy Truck says, the track temperature is now 43. That plays into Red Bull's hands, absolutely. And yeah, there's some issue at the rear of the car. Maybe what flew off caused that, but I think Ericsson has some kind of problem on the rear of his car, because he wasn't even turning in that sharply and the car just spun around. But, right, I will just find a picture quickly. As Charles Leclerc, by the way, P5, but of course has not pitted yet. And I'll just show you a picture of Hamilton when he pitted for the medium compound tyres. And as well, just to say about Charles Leclerc, very, very impressive. He's only 5 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo, who's a second behind Vettel. So it just shows you Charles Leclerc for next year, don't count him out. He's a very good driver. So there you go. You can just see, actually, you can just see there, look at that, what would be for Lewis Hamilton is his left front. Look at the graining on the inside of the tyre. Absolutely horrific. Had to pit. I'm not sure, though, pitting early will help them, because I think Verstappen and Ricciardo will go on to a fresh set of the soft tyres. So, yeah. As Verstappen still has not pitted. Pressure, why is Hamilton pushing so much? Well, he needs to, because Charles Leclerc is holding him up. And this is going to be costing him time to Max Verstappen. As Hamilton will now go for the move. Leclerc does defend a bit, kind of cheekily, and tries to hold it around the outside, but Hamilton gets past. But nice to see there Charles Leclerc, you know, actually trying to defend and not, you know, saying, you know, pass me here, letting him by. Hopefully we get to see more of that in 2019. But we are now at a bit of a lull in this race, because we're waiting for the Red Bulls and the Ferraris to pit. Beacon F1, are you sticking with your predictions? I will stick with them to the dire end. I am going to stick by them. I don't care. It's not looking good. A Ferrari 1-2 is not looking on the cards. But you never know. There is still, what, 46 laps to go. So, plenty of time for Ferrari to do something. And they're not completely out of it. Not at all. But Verstappen leads from Raikkonen second, Vettel third, and Ricciardo fourth. And by the way, Ricciardo is now just about a second behind Vettel. Can he get DRS? No, he cannot. If Ricciardo can get the DRS and stay behind and not, you know, lose time in the turbulent air of the Ferrari, I think Ricciardo could make the move on Sebastian. Tonka Toy Truck, who has not pitted. Well, there's not many people that have pitted. The only cars that have pitted are the two Williamses, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, and the two Mercedes. Those are the only cars that have pitted. So, yeah, not many people deciding to pit right now. Will that strategy of Mercedes pay off, pitting so early? We'll have to see. By the way, Charles Leclerc's not even that far behind Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc only a second behind. So, Mercedes are not that quick at all. As Max Verstappen now comes up to lap. He's now weaving to get Lance Stroll to notice him. And Verstappen dives through on the inside. By the way, thank you to the 250 people watching me live. And I just want to say, you know, again, thank you. And don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel, because we do this every race weekend for these races. And we'll be doing this for 2019. So don't forget to subscribe on the bottom right of the screen, or click on my channel name and subscribe to the channel. And as well, just to let you guys know, once the race finishes, I will be doing a reaction to the race for an hour. So don't forget to stick around for the race reaction immediately as the race finishes. As Verstappen goes round again, what is the gap from Verstappen to Hamilton? It is, I'm just trying to calculate it, 11, 12. You know what, Max, to me it looks like he's pulling the gap to Hamilton. Because I think Hamilton is about 19 seconds behind. And you need, I think, 21 to come out and still be in front. And the gap was not 19 seconds a couple of laps ago. It was more like 18. So Verstappen putting in a very strong stint of the race right now. But right, I'll just see if I can throw an image on the screen. Yep, I can. I'll show you what happened to Marcus Ericsson. As Verstappen, by the way, is still pulling away from the two Ferraris. Verstappen leads from Kimi Raikkonen by 8.5 seconds. Where is Ferrari's race pace? On Friday they were so fast, but now they've got no pace at all. As Ferrari, speak of the devil, are now coming out for a pit stop and to put on the medium tyres for Kimi Raikkonen, I think that is. Nope, that is Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel in, as I just, there you go, that's Ericsson when he spun. As Vettel comes in now, takes off the soft tyres, puts on the mediums, and now has to do 43 laps until the end of this race. By the way, what a stop that was. 1.9 seconds for the pit stop. That has to be one of the fastest pit stops of all time. Fantastic from Ferrari. As Bottas dives down the inside of Grosjean, but Grosjean closes the door, so Bottas is going to have to work for it. You know what? I don't think Mercedes have done well here with their strategy. I think they've made a mistake. They should not have pitted as early as they have. Because at the end of the race, they're going to lose a lot of pace compared to Red Bull and Ferrari. And now they're stuck in traffic, or at least Valtteri Bottas is. So I think Mercedes have made a mistake. And Bottas, by the way, he's not all over the back of Grosjean as they now come through Jinsao on the final corner. I think they made a mistake. I don't know what you guys think, but as Daniel Ricciardo now does the fastest lap of 1:12.9, as Bottas now gets past down the inside of Romain Grosjean into turn 1, so Bottas does get past. But Ricciardo now does the fastest lap, and it is clear to me Red Bull have the best car right now. No doubt about it. As how far behind Vettel is stuck behind Kevin Magnussen. I think for Red Bull with Max Verstappen, they need to make sure they can get, pit and get out before Charles Leclerc comes round. If Charles Leclerc does not, has not pitted when they do, they cannot afford to lose time in traffic. As Vettel, does he go down the inside of Magnussen? Yes, he does, and Magnussen just lets him through because he doesn't want to lose any time. What tyres is Seb on? The medium compound tyre. As Vettel now climbs the hill towards the start-finish line. Vettel is not that far behind Bottas. About 2 seconds at most, if that. So I don't think Mercedes, again, I think they made a mistake. I really do think they've made a mistake, as Verstappen continues to put in great laps. He's now 9.5 seconds ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. And I will say though, the skies are getting a bit darker. Could you imagine some rain? That would spice things up. But 30 laps into this Grand Prix, this is the race order. Max Verstappen is leading this Grand Prix, from Kimi Raikkonen second, Daniel Ricciardo in third, but the top three have not pitted yet. Lewis Hamilton is fourth, has pitted. Leclerc is fifth, has not pitted. Bottas sixth, has pitted. And then Grosjean is P7, he has not pitted. Vettel is 8th, he has pitted. And then Magnussen is 9th, Perez is 10th, Hulkenberg is 11th, 12th is Ocon as rain is in the area. And then Hartley 13th, so they all have not pitted. And then Gasly, Sainz, Sirotkin, Stroll, Van Dorn and Alonso, as Vettel passes Grosjean, have pitted. And then Ericsson is your only retirement of the race. But as Sebastian Vettel passes Romain Grosjean, what can Vettel now do about Bottas? Can Vettel get up to the back of Bottas and get past? I hope he can, because I want to see some racing again. That was, you know, the first 15 laps was very exciting, as Alonso here passes Van Dorn going towards turn 4. McLaren are at the back on their own. Just shows you that McLaren, that far back, that's the only way they can have fun, is by racing each other, as Vettel is only 1.1 behind Bottas. The sector that Bottas is struggling in, even though he set a fastest second sector, is Kimi Raikkonen pits. So this is going to be close though. Raikkonen and Bottas. And Bottas and Vettel now come up to the start-finish line. And here comes Kimi Raikkonen. Where is Bottas and Vettel? There is Bottas. Bottas will be passed and so will Vettel. So Vettel has jumped Kimi Raikkonen. Only just though. But Vettel is closing on Bottas. So a train is about to form again behind Bottas. So let's see what happens here with the Ferraris. Can they put can they put Bottas under pressure? I was about to say, even though Bottas on his in-lap to the pits set the fastest second sector, that is the sector he is struggling in the most. He's losing the most time in that sector by a mile. As Vettel now looks within DRS of Bottas. Yes, he is. Only 3/4 of a second. What has happened to Mercedes in the last couple of Grand Prix? They've got no pace, as Van Dorn repasses Alonso. So again, they're having fun at the back, and they are literally at the back, as Vettel now closes on Bottas with DRS. I just want to show you this, guys. Sebastian Vettel's pit stop, and the fastest pit stop of the day, if not the season, 1.9 seconds. Wow, what a pit stop. Beacon F1 asks who will win. Right now I'd say Max Verstappen, because he has enough pace to do so. I think Max is going to win this race, as now we have an intense fight for what is, I guess, a net P3 between Bottas, Vettel and Raikkonen. And Vettel, if he stays close enough through here, and he is, can make the move down into turn 1. And let's see if he gets a good run. That's, I don't know if that's good enough for Vettel, as Hulkenberg is out. Hulkenberg is out of the race. Such a shame. He was actually doing quite well on the, as Vettel feigns for a move there. Hulkenberg was only just outside the points and actually getting closer to the points. So that is disappointing. As now Vettel and Raikkonen have DRS on Bottas. So Bottas is going to have to defend for his life, well, for the next half of the Grand Prix, as there is 30... how many laps left? Yep, 37 left. So we're about halfway into this race. Where did Ocon qualify? He qualified in 13th, but started 18th because of a gearbox penalty. And Niblo, great to see him, is right. Bottas is dead slow. He is. Valtteri's going to finish in 6th. Absolutely. As is Vettel close enough? I don't think he is. Vettel needs to be about half a second behind on the exit of the final corner. But he's not. He's about a tenth and a half too slow on the exit of the corner. But if he gets a tenth and a half closer, I think he can make the move. As they now go down to turn 4. And Vettel lets Raikkonen through. That's interesting. So they want Raikkonen to have a go at Bottas and not Vettel. That's interesting. As Verstappen is 19 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, we just saw there. Right, I'll just wait, guys, to see what Kimi Raikkonen can do against Bottas. And Arriva Bene there, clearly showing what he wanted. And there you go, Raikkonen passed Vettel. And thanks, someone there, maybe the Ferrari strategist, I don't know. As Max Verstappen has pitted. And that wasn't the fastest pit stop in the world, only 3 seconds. Just shows you how the teams look for perfection as Hamilton goes past. But Max Verstappen, I just want to see as well, what tyres is Max on? We can't see. I want to see what tyres he's on. As Raikkonen does the fastest lap. Yes, he's on the soft compound tyres. Here we go, guys. Max is now going to give it everything for the second half of the Brazilian Grand Prix. As Kimi has set the fastest lap and is all over the back of Valtteri Bottas. I'm going to wait to see if Kimi makes the move before I read out the order again. Because I feel as though Kimi will go for it. He needs to because it's too far behind where the Ferrari should be right now. As Verstappen, just looking at the pit stop, was there anything wrong with it? Yep, left front was a tad bit too slow. And Niblo is right. Daniel has to stay out until he clears the Bottas group. But will he clear that group? As Raikkonen closes on Bottas, but Bottas is not going to defend. Nice to see, because I think Bottas was hurting himself by defending too early a bit. And is Raikkonen close enough here? Half a second. I don't think he is. No, he's not. But Ricciardo is not far enough ahead. Yeah, he's only 8 seconds ahead. So for Ricciardo, it's all about going as long as possible to have fresh, soft tyres for the end. Can Kimi make the move? He needs to. He absolutely has to. He's been stuck behind for so long. He has to go for the move eventually. He's about half a second behind. Now it's dropped to about 0.8 of a second. And by the way, Vettel has dropped off the back of this battle. So I don't know what Vettel... I don't know what's wrong with him. If he's carrying an issue. And let's just see when Bottas... No, Raikkonen is not making the move. So I'll read out the race order. Daniel Ricciardo is leading this Grand Prix but has not pitted yet. Lewis Hamilton is second. Third is Max Verstappen. Fourth is Bottas. Fifth is Raikkonen. Sixth is Vettel. Seventh is Magnussen. Eighth is now Charles Leclerc as he's just passed Sergio Perez. And then obviously Perez 9th. Grosjean 10th. Ocon in P11, Hartley 12th, Gasly 13th, Sainz in 14th, and then Sirotkin 15th, Stroll 16th, Van Dorn 17th, Alonso 18th, and your two retirements are Hulkenberg and Marcus Ericsson, as Bottas laps Alonso, but now Alonso is holding up Raikkonen. Not anymore though. But is Raikkonen close enough? I'm not too sure he is. I'm not too sure that Raikkonen is close enough here for a move. We'll see. No, he's not close enough. Raikkonen won't be able to go for the move there, as Vettel now laps Fernando Alonso. By the way, and I said this in the build-up, and it's becoming true, Williams do have a faster car here than McLaren, because both Williams cars are ahead of the two McLarens, and by quite a lot. The McLarens can't even see the two Williamses. How poor is that? As Verstappen is now half a second behind Hamilton. Verstappen all over the back of Hamilton and has done the fastest lap. Here we go, guys. This is for the net race win, as Hamilton laps a Williams. So does Verstappen. Look how close Verstappen is getting. Lewis Hamilton won't have anything to defend with. Verstappen almost going for the move into the final corner. And Verstappen now makes the run up the hill, and surely that Max is going to get past. Here we go. DRS enabled. Lewis Hamilton defends to the inside, but Max takes the outside line. Defense from Lewis Hamilton. But Max Verstappen leads the Brazilian Grand Prix. Not literally, well now literally, because Daniel Ricciardo is pitted, as Lewis Hamilton now gets the run on Verstappen. What will Hamilton do? Running outside. Does he go for the move? No, he doesn't, because he doesn't have the pace. But Verstappen is passed. Verstappen leads in Interlagos. This has to be, for me, one of Max's best drives of his entire career. Because that Red Bull car should not be this fast, and he is making everyone look like an amateur out there today. Stunning pace from Max. As Raikkonen, as we now cut back to the Raikkonen-Bottas action, as Hamilton now dropping off the back of Verstappen. But the interesting thing now is, what can Daniel Ricciardo do against Vettel? Because now, of course, Ricciardo has much fresher tyres. Is Raikkonen close enough here? Let's see. Is he close enough? No, he's not. He went for a move, but he's not close enough. And Prussia saying there, Max will join the greats, no doubt. Scuderia D, I think, wants K-Mag to pit. But yeah, K-Mag has not pitted. In P7, looking good though, is Kevin Magnussen. I'll read out the order in just a moment. I'll see again. And if we see a replay of Verstappen going past Hamilton, it was too easy. Too easy for Max. And you know what, guys? If Red Bull have a more powerful engine for next year, you might have to get used to that. Because that could be a familiar sight in 2019. I hope so, because I want to see a three-way battle for the championship. As Raikkonen, is he close enough this time? Please be closer. No, he's not close enough. Well, we'll see going down into turn 1, but I don't think Raikkonen is close enough with DRS. And nope, he is not. So, guys, the order on lap 42 is Daniel Ricciardo. Hold on, let's wait. Ricciardo and Vettel now. Ricciardo, by the way, also on the soft compound tyres, so expect Daniel Ricciardo to get the dive bombs out. And here comes Ricciardo. Vettel kind of blocks the middle of the track there. And Ricciardo does do the fastest lap of 1:11.6. So quickly, before Ricciardo makes a move, Verstappen is leading from Hamilton second. Third is Bottas. Fourth is Raikkonen. Fifth is Vettel, with Ricciardo very close behind in sixth. Leclerc is P7, Grosjean P8, Magnussen is now pitted in P9, Hartley is 10th, has not pitted, and then not in the points is Perez, Gasly, Sainz, Ocon, Sirotkin, Stroll, Van Dorn and Alonso, and your only 2 retirements are Hulkenberg and Ericsson. I think Ricciardo's going to make the move here. Sebastian's going to have to get ready to defend. He's going to have to. And here he comes. Ricciardo down to turn 1. Get ready. Yet Vettel knows. As Raikkonen feints for a move. Daniel Ricciardo. Does he go right round the outside? Slight contact. Ricciardo onto the grass. I think that's all fine. I think Vettel was just about alright to do that. As Raikkonen very close to Bottas, but not close enough. Ricciardo feigning to go around the outside of Vettel, but doesn't go for it. Wow, I have to say, guys, this is one of the best races of 2018. This is fantastic. We've still got almost 30 laps to go. What a Grand Prix. One of the best of 2018 for sure. So here we go. For me, that's just about fine because Ricciardo only had half of his car alongside. So I think that's just about okay. Hard but fair. Raikkonen. Raikkonen's very close to Bottas now. Raikkonen's going to make the move. Bottas is defenceless without DRS. Here he comes. Kimi Raikkonen. Oh no, what's happened? Is that Max Verstappen? And contact, what was... Yeah, that is Max Verstappen has made contact with Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton has took the lead. What's happened? And now Raikkonen's right behind Verstappen and Verstappen is 5.5 seconds off the lead. Chaos. Wow, what a... I don't know what happened there. He must have been trying to lap the Force India and the Force India closed the door. But now we've got a train behind Verstappen. Wow, please, I just want this race to never end. So Verstappen laps the... That's ridiculous. Why is the Force India going for the move? Ocon, what are you doing? Now, Ocon is on the super soft tyres, granted. But he's been lapped. What is Ocon doing? You're supposed to stay behind. Now, yeah, I feel sorry for Max there because he's not expecting Ocon to pass him. Now, Ocon's got a great run on Max, of course. And then Ocon goes for the move down the inside. Max closes the door because Max thinks that Ocon is going to give him, you know, the space to go through. But I think what we need to see is, did Verstappen just lap him and then Ocon got a great run up the hill? Because if that's the case, Ocon is clearly at fault. But if, you know, if Max was like 5 seconds ahead and Ocon has just pitted and then, you know, Ocon has caught that up and gone past, then I don't know. I kind of feel that's more Max's fault. We need to know, did Max just lap Ocon before that happened? Pavel Novak, Chaz, you should wait till the last 2 laps before you set the order. Beauty of F1. Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen. As Max is now slowly closing back in. But what chaos. Chaos. As Ricciardo now running outside. Now, oh, brilliant by Ricciardo on Vettel. But Vettel will get the run around the outside into turn 3, but will get the DRS, I think, down to turn 4. So Ricciardo is defenceless down to turn 4. And, oh no, he goes down the inside as Ricciardo. Vettel has lost out. So Ricciardo now up to P5. This is brilliant. I've never had this much fun on a watch-along before. This is so, so good. Great move by Ricciardo round the outside. Taking control of the situation. Fantastic. But I think the real story here, guys, is can Max catch Hamilton? He's 5 seconds behind his Max and has 25 laps to catch him back. But does Max have damage to his car? Because that was quite a heavy hit by Ocon. I don't know. We'll have to see. But chaos here in Brazil. Max is in P2. By the way, I'll read out the order right now as it's quickly settled down. So, Lewis Hamilton leads from Max Verstappen second. Raikkonen is third. And then Bottas fourth. Ricciardo fifth. Vettel is sixth. Seventh is Charles Leclerc. Eighth is Grosjean. Ninth is Magnussen. 10th is Perez. Hartley is P11. Gasly P12. Hartley, by the way, looking very good for a maybe... Well, I won't say a points finish, but for a good finish. And then Gasly 12th, Sainz is 13th, Stroll 14th, Sirotkin, sorry, in 14th. Stroll is 15th. And then 16th is Ocon, 17th Van Dorn, 18th Alonso. Alonso last of all. How embarrassing is that for McLaren, to be honest. And then your retirees, Hulkenberg and Ericsson. And now I will throw up a picture of the chaos if I can. So I've got it. The Ocon Verstappen contact. As Verstappen is not closing on Hamilton really at all. So I wonder, does Max have damage to his car? But what I want to know, like, it's all great seeing this replay, but did Max lap Ocon just before the final corner? That's what I want to know. Because if he did, and then Ocon got a great run, and yeah, Max's floor is damaged. He's not going to catch Hamilton with that. If Max lapped Ocon just before the start-finish straight, as Hamilton here is... This is his view of what goes on. I know there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories flying around on Twitter. Of, you know, Ocon deliberately taking him out, but he didn't. Ocon got a run, but tried to get past. But guys, if you by some miracle know if Max had lapped Ocon before, just before the start-finish straight, please let me know, please, because it's so important. Scuderia D, yeah, the Esteban, it's James. I guarantee you on Twitter, it's all flying around right now. And if you've just joined, Hamilton is leading from Verstappen in second. And, well, if it rained, that would be the cherry on the cake. But I'll read out the full order in a minute. But Hamilton is leading the race from Max Verstappen in second. Now, Ricciardo is within a second of Valtteri Bottas. So that's the next thing to watch out for, is Ricciardo on Bottas. And just looking back there, yeah, Ricciardo is close enough. We need to watch that now. We need to watch Ricciardo and Bottas, please. And yes, Simon Cragland says, please rain. Ricciardo is too far behind, I think, to go for the move. Yeah, surely he's too far behind. I have to say, though, and it's just evidence, Ricciardo has to be one of the best drivers I think we've seen in a long time when it comes to braking, as the Red Bull front wing there is flapping about in the turbulent air. But under brakes, Daniel Ricciardo is one of the best on the grid. No doubt about it, if not the best. And I'd say one of the best I've ever seen when it comes to braking when racing. As he now closes on Valtteri Bottas. He's going to get very close in this section, but can he be close enough down the straight? Ronan Brady, Verstappen had the racing line. He did. He did. I'm leaning more towards it's Ocon's fault. But again, I want to know whether, you know, had Verstappen just lapped him and Ocon just got a great run on Verstappen up the hill. As Ricciardo closes on Bottas, but it's not close enough. Right, I'll read out the order now as we are on lap 51 out of 71. It's flying by, but again, time flies when you're having fun. The order is not Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton leads from Max Verstappen second. Third is Raikkonen. Fourth is Bottas with Ricciardo just behind. Vettel is sixth. Vettel has had one of his worst races in terms of pace in 2018 today. And by the way, the gap between first and second, for someone just asking, is 4.3 seconds. And then in P7 is Charles Leclerc, as we're now watching a replay of Sainz getting past Ocon, I think that is, for 13th. So, there you go. So yeah, and then it's Leclerc P7, Grosjean is in P8, Magnussen P9, Perez P10, and then it's Gasly. Oh no, the order's just gone away to show the live points. We don't want to see that. We know the Drivers' Championship is over. Stop showing it. As the clouds are gathering, I'm not sure if it's going to rain or not. If it does, we are going to get one of the best endings to a Grand Prix ever. Because the field in the the top 6 is so close. But for some reason we're still looking at the live drivers' points when the Drivers' Championship doesn't really matter right now. So yeah, and then out of the points but still running is Gasly, Hartley, Sainz, Ocon, Sirotkin, Stroll, Van Dorn and Alonso. By the way, Van Dorn has been better than Fernando Alonso in this race. Very impressive from Van Dorn. And then your only 2 retirements are Hulkenberg and Ericsson. But the big story is Max Verstappen was leading and was the absolute out-and-out leader, but then was took out by the lapped driver of Esteban Ocon. Oh, Ricciardo, he almost got Bottas into turn 1. And now, I don't think he's close enough. I don't think he's close enough going into turn 4. We'll see. Gets DRS. Nope, I don't think he's close enough. He's not. But Ricciardo needs, I would say, 0.2 of a second more to get past. As they now come into the middle sector of the lap. They now have to lap some cars. As, well, that's quite a threatening cloud coming over the circuit. Hopefully it's filled with plenty of rain. As Ricciardo, he's so close here, but just cannot get a good enough run off the final corner. As Bottas now closes on the lapped cars, and now Bottas will get DRS, I think. That's not going to help out Ricciardo. But does Bottas get DRS? Nope, I don't think he does. But Sebastian Vettel comes in for another pit stop. So Vettel in again. What tyres will this be? He puts on the super soft tyres. So Ferrari are going for it with Sebastian Vettel. As Bottas is holding up Ricciardo. Interesting. As, who's that? I thought that was a Williams getting past another Williams. That was, who was that? Leclerc lapping Lance Stroll. As out comes Vettel with so many cars to lap. So the gamble is not going to work initially. And by the way, the wind has picked up at Interlagos. So definitely we're getting more storm-like conditions at the track. But I just desperately want to know the information about the whole Ocon Verstappen thing. I want to know if he just lapped him. And Mercedes are coming in for a pit stop. Surely not. Well, Hamilton isn't. But is Bottas? Ricciardo's very close down the straight. Oh no, he's not close enough. But Ricciardo is close. But why would Mercedes with Hamilton pit again? They've got, what, 16 laps to go and a 4.5 second or 4 second lead. They have to stay out. If they want to win, they have to stay out. As Ricciardo now closes again on Bottas in the mid-sector. I don't think that Ricciardo is close enough to go for any type of overtake. No, I don't think he is. Will he close in here? No, he's not going to. As I will now read out, guys, the race order with 15 laps to go. So Lewis Hamilton leads from Max Verstappen in second. Third is Kimi Raikkonen. And then in fourth place is Valtteri Bottas. Fifth is Daniel Ricciardo. By the way, Charles Leclerc is ahead of Sebastian Vettel because Vettel pitted for the second time. So Vettel is P7, Grosjean P8, Magnussen P9, Perez is P10. And then finishing the race so far, but not in the points, is Gasly, Hartley, Sainz, Ocon, Sirotkin, Stroll, Van Dorn and Alonso. Van Dorn, by the way, has just passed Lance Stroll. And your only retirements are Nico Hülkenberg and Marcus Ericsson. But Verstappen, by the way, only 3.5 seconds behind. I'd love to know the information about the whole Ocon thing. As replay, Van Dorn on Stroll. Run the outside. And yeah, that's all good. By the stuff. And I'll just show you guys now. As Ricciardo is just not close enough. I'll show you guys a picture now of Lewis Hamilton's left front tyre. It is blistering, to say the least. As he's only 3.5 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. As Vettel now closes on Leclerc. Is Leclerc going to let him through? Probably not, considering their teammates for 2019. But there you go. Just look at the tyre on the far right, on our far right. Yeah, not in good condition at all. As Vettel does the fastest lap at 1:11.4. 10-second stop-go penalty for Esteban Ocon, apparently. Okay. Well, yeah. I'd have to agree with it. I still want to know where Ocon was when he was lapped the first time. But, yeah, Ocon is at fault. I don't know what Ocon was doing. And that's now 2 races in a row where Ocon has had silly crashes and has not exactly put himself in the window for a seat in 2019, has he? As Vettel now comes up to pass Charles Leclerc, and he does so down the inside. So, what can Vettel do? He's 25 seconds behind Ricciardo, so Vettel is going to finish in P6. Ronan Brady, 10-second stop go for Ocon. Should be a race ban. No, it shouldn't be a race ban. It wasn't. It was bad for what he did, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't race ban worthy. Scuderia D 2019 preview. Well, we'll see. So here it is. Why did Ocon? Why? You're being lapped for a reason, because not necessarily you, but your machinery with you at the wheel is not fast enough. As Ricciardo dives down the inside of Valtteri Bottas, and Ricciardo now is up to 4th. Danny Rick is on the prowl, and now Hunt after Kimi Raikkonen in 3rd. Ricciardo has 4.5 seconds to eat into. Great move down the inside. Bottas tried to defend around the outside, but Ricciardo had it covered. But as Mercedes, I guess with Bottas, are going to do a pit stop. Surely not of Hamilton, as Ocon is serving his 10-second stop-go penalty and comes out. But with Ocon, you know, you're being lapped. You're not supposed to interfere with the leader's race. You're supposed to get out the way as soon as you can to let the leaders through. And, well, he did probably let Verstappen through, but then tried to repass him ridiculously around the outside, and then for the inside of turn 2, as Valtteri Bottas has pitted. By the way, we're on lap 60 out of 71. So once Bottas comes out of the pit lane, I will read out the entire order, but it will be, guys, for the last time until the race finishes. So this will be the last in-race reading of the race order until the final lap. As Bottas comes out, where is Vettel? Vettel is coming through the Senna S's. By the way, though, Vettel on super soft tyres, Bottas on soft tyres. So Vettel should catch Bottas. But the race order with 11 laps to go is Lewis Hamilton leading from Max Verstappen 2nd. Only 3 seconds are separating those two. And then 3rd place is Kimi Raikkonen. 4th is Daniel Ricciardo, but Ricciardo is catching a lot at the moment. 5th is Valtteri Bottas. 6th is Vettel and catching. 7th is Charles Leclerc. 8th is Grosjean. 9th is Magnussen. 10th is Perez. Finishing the race but not in the points is Gasly, Hartley, Sainz, Sirotkin, Van Dorn, Stroll, Ocon and Alonso. And then your retirements of this race is Hülkenberg and Ericsson. So 10 laps to go of the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, and what a Brazilian Grand Prix it has been. It has been, for me, one of the best races of 2018. An absolute classic dry race in Brazil has to go down as that. As Vettel now closes on Bottas, Ricciardo still is taking a lot out of Kimi Raikkonen's lead over him. So Ricciardo could get a podium, and what a drive that would be. Not sure if he'd go down as my driver of the day, but definitely one of the drivers of the day. There's no doubt about that. So Ricciardo 2.8 behind Raikkonen. RD says, Daniel got nothing to lose. Absolutely. Ricciardo just has to give it everything now. As Van Dorn goes around the outside of Sergei Sirotkin at turn 4. Great move. I have to say for Van Dorn, this is one of his best races in a while. He's ahead of Alonso and, you know, really getting his elbows out and putting in some good overtakes. So nice on him. As this is Bottas lapping the Renault of Carlos Sainz. Vettel will lap him shortly. Vettel only 1.5 seconds behind Bottas. Verstappen, by the way, 2.5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So Verstappen is still closing, but I don't think he's closing enough to win the race. You never know though. Anything can happen in F1. And to quote Murray Walker, and it usually does. As Vettel now looks within DRS of Valtteri Bottas, but Bottas will get DRS off the Toro Rosso of Brendan Hartley, who is putting in a good performance in this race. And fastest lap is Daniel Ricciardo, a 1:11.3. He's 2.2 seconds behind Raikkonen with 8 laps to go. Vettel now laps Hartley. And Bottas now laps Gasly. So the Toro Rosso's getting out of the way nicely. That's how you're supposed to be lapped, not try and re-overtake. But we have someone under investigation for ignoring blue flags. It is Fernando Alonso. So that'll be a slam dunk penalty. It always is. 7 laps to go now. But it looks as though to me that Lewis is going to win this race. With Max in second, Raikkonen third. The things we need to watch out for is the battle for third between Raikkonen and Ricciardo, and the battle for fifth between Bottas and Vettel. As Bottas looks quite a bit ahead though of Sebastian Vettel here. Yep, 2 seconds. Also under investigation for ignoring blue flags is Stoffel Van Dorn. That's a penalty. So both McLarens are going to get penalties. Ricciardo. By the way, if you're getting timed out for some reason, then you're going to have to ask the moderators because they are patrolling the chat. I can't do anything about it because, of course, I'm concentrating on the race. So if you do have an issue, raise it with the moderators, please. As Ricciardo is now, with 6 laps to go, 1.4, I think, behind Kimi Raikkonen. Verstappen 2.5 behind Lewis Hamilton. Ricciardo closing on Raikkonen. So I think Ricciardo, if he does make the move, it's going to be either the last lap or the penultimate lap. And the time difference between the top two is 2.2 seconds. Now 2.1 though. As who's that? Alonso still, I think, ignoring blue flags. He's now trying to go past Lance Stroll, but doesn't care about letting Lewis Hamilton through. And Alonso trying to go for the move. Hamilton wants past. Alonso goes past. And so does Hamilton go past Stroll, and Alonso will get out the way very shortly. As Ricciardo is now 1.1 behind Raikkonen. 1.1 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen. So Ricciardo is close enough to get to the podium. I'll just try and load an image if I can of what's going on. Right, I've got this of Ricciardo getting past Bottas. I'll get this on the screen for you guys. Valtteri Bottas has done the new lap record, a 1:10.5 on his soft tyres. And Vettel now is struggling on the super soft tyres. So Vettel will finish in 6th in what is, pace-wise, one of the worst races of his season. So there you go. Ricciardo diving down the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Very, very good move. As Daniel Ricciardo now is 0.7 of a second behind Kimi Raikkonen. I don't think he'll go for it this time. Not close enough, but maybe the next lap he will go for the move. Let's see how close he is through here. Looks close, but just not close enough to make a move into the braking zone. But I think Ricciardo can go for it definitely after now. Because that was the first time Ricciardo got DRS on Raikkonen since he caught him. So here is Daniel Ricciardo closing on Raikkonen as Alonso will be lapped very soon. And will he go? I'm just trying to see if he's close enough in the final corner. Or I don't know if he's close enough there. He needs to be a couple of tenths closer, similar to Valtteri Bottas. Gets the DRS. Now goes down to turn 1. Will he make the move? Ricciardo, no, he's not close enough. Lot of traffic, by the way, as Lewis Hamilton only 1.1 ahead of Verstappen with 3 laps to go. As, oh, get out the way, traffic, please. You're ruining a great race. As Ricciardo now and Kimi Raikkonen have to lap Fernando Alonso, but Hamilton now pulling the gap to Verstappen because Verstappen now needs to lap that Williams and that Force India. And that's 1.7, so yeah, they ruined it there. And Ricciardo goes around the outside of Alonso. But if Max has any pace left, he has to give it now because he's 1.5 seconds behind and we have 3 complete laps left of this race. So he's got to give it everything now, as Ricciardo will not make the move this time because Raikkonen has DRS on a lapped car. And the Williams is now trying to come back at Raikkonen, but smartly, you see there, does not go for the move because you're a lapped car. You're being lapped for a reason. Can Max close in with 3 laps to go? Lap 69 out of 71. 3 laps. That's including this one. So, I'm just... can Max close in? The middle sector is where Max will close in. But does he have enough pace to do so? Lewis's tyres do not look good. But I don't think he'll care. Because he is so close to winning the Brazilian Grand Prix for only the 2nd time, I think, if he does win. As Ricciardo now, he's not close enough. I don't think Ricciardo is going to be able to go for the move. It's now lap 70 out of 71. And for the order, I'll read it out at the end of the race because now we are so close to the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix. But I can tell you though, Lewis Hamilton leads from Max Verstappen. If Ricciardo has anything left, he has to produce it right now. Sorry about my throat, guys, but I think you can understand. I've been shouting my head off for an hour and a half straight. And yeah, my throat is just about dead, but we've done it, you know, for a good reason. So Raikkonen is 0.7 ahead of Ricciardo. I don't think Ricciardo is going to pass. I don't see it. He's not close enough. He needs to be like 4 tenths to 5 tenths behind at most to make a move. As Lewis Hamilton now starts his final lap. This is the last chance for Ricciardo and he's not going to make it. So it should be Raikkonen on the podium in 3rd place. And you have to say, Kimi Raikkonen has thoroughly beaten Sebastian Vettel in this race. Vettel nowhere near as good as Kimi in this race for me. Especially pace-wise. But we are now on our final lap. Lewis Hamilton is now coming through that middle sector. 1.5 seconds is the gap. As Ricciardo is close to Raikkonen, but just not close enough. As Lewis Hamilton now comes through, I believe now, the final corner. And he does, as Ricciardo is so close to the back of Raikkonen, but I don't see him making the move. He's not going to. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He may not have deserved this win, but he's going to get it anyway. Lewis Hamilton wins the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen finishes in second. Kimi Raikkonen finishes in third with Daniel Ricciardo in fourth. Bottas fifth. Bottas will be in fifth with Vettel in sixth. In P7 will be Charles Leclerc. P8 will be Romain Grosjean. 9th will be Kevin Magnussen. 10th is Sergio Perez. And then finishing the race but not in the points is Brendan Hartley, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Stoffel Van Dorn, Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Sergei Sorokin, I believe Lance Stroll as well, but he's disappeared off the screen, so maybe he has retired. And then your actual retirees are Nico Hulkenberg and Marcus Ericsson. But Lewis Hamilton wins the Brazilian Grand Prix for the second time in his career and looks very happy about it. So, wow, what a race, what a race. I wish that race was 150 laps, not 71. That was brilliant, brilliant. That's one of the best dry races at Brazil I think we've ever had. A fantastic Grand Prix. And if you have missed it, you have missed a classic. In the dry, of course. It doesn't have anything on the wet races here at Brazil. But if you compare it to other dry races at this track, this has to be one of the best. And there you go. Lewis Hamilton wins from Max Verstappen second and Kimi Raikkonen in third. So guys, in the next few minutes, react to what's happened in this race. Whilst we wait for the podium celebrations to end, and then I will get into reading your comments about what's happened, and I will react with you guys to everything that's happened, and I'll throw up some pictures of all of the cars and teams. And Lewis Hamilton is very happy about that, of course. And the advertising hoardings fall down because he's jumping on his mechanics so hard. But there you go. Seppi Tank, give us a rundown why it was so good. The reason it was so good is because all of the top six were racing each other. You had Verstappen coming from P5, passing Raikkonen, passing Vettel, passing Bottas, and eventually passing Lewis Hamilton, but then of course lost the lead because Ocon is an idiot. You had Ricciardo coming through the field. You had some good racing between the Ferraris and Valtteri Bottas. Some good midfield racing as well. Very good midfield racing. It was a fantastic race, for sure. Han Solo, I'm having a proper hangover right now. I feel sick. Yes, Mercedes do win the Constructors. Mercedes are officially the 2018 World Constructors Champions. And they deserve it. They have been the better team. Much better than Ferrari at getting results when they needed, to get them on race day compared to Ferrari. Max Claydon making his thoughts known, saying it's a disgrace. Max was robbed. We'll get into that in the reaction and as well the race review for tomorrow. But my initial reaction is that Max Verstappen deserved to win that race. I think Max deserved to win that Grand Prix. I do. He was robbed. He was. Esteban Ocon robbed Max Verstappen, of victory in Brazil. Max deserved the win. Of course, with Lewis, you know, you have to be there to capitalise when, you know, stuff goes on. But I think it's quite clear from what we saw today, Max did deserve the victory. And of course, driver of the day is Max. That's from Scuderia D. I don't know officially who is, but you know what? I'll just throw it to you guys now. Who is your driver of the day? Put in the chat right now and I'll read it out. But my driver of the day is Max Verstappen because he started P5 in qualifying. He was miles off the top 3 or 4 cars in terms of qualifying pace. But then on, you know, in race day and on race pace, wow, what a performance. Passing Raikkonen early on, diving down the inside, very late on the brakes on Sebastian Vettel, same with Valtteri Bottas. And then his pace to get past Lewis Hamilton was fantastic. His first stint was brilliant. But then Esteban Ocon took him out when he shouldn't have and cost Verstappen the win. And by the way, even with a damaged car, Verstappen still took the gap from 5.5 seconds down to 1.5. So it just shows you Max did deserve to win. And for me, is driver of the day. But if you disagree or you think Max is driver of the day, put in the chat right now and I will read out your driver of the days. Right, let me take a look. Niblo says 2 driver of the days are clearly both Red Bulls. John Murphy says Max. Scuderia D says Daniel Ricciardo. That's understandable. I'd say Ricciardo is my second place driver in the driver of the day. If Ricciardo started in 6th, then he could have won this race as well. He really could have. So, yeah. But, right, Leclerc is Tonka Toy Truck's driver of the day. I think it's Sally Gardiner says Lewis. Okay. Of course, Lewis was close enough to Max to take advantage, but I don't think Lewis did deserve the win. And, well, yeah, I think I've made my thoughts clear. Reza says Ricciardo is driver of the day. John Murphy says numpty of the day is Ocon. Absolutely. Max Claydon says Hamilton. How lucky can he get? No penalty and a robbery. He is such a lucky bleep. This weekend he has been lucky, but it's, you know, it's one in a blue moon in the last couple of years where Lewis has got lucky. This season, he hasn't really had any luck, has Lewis, compared to, say, Vettel. I wouldn't say Lewis has been lucky this season, but definitely at this race, Lewis is a lucky boy. To get the victory and to be allowed to keep his pole position. Mike Post, Max is or was robbed. Raghav Gupta, 3 back-to-back driver of the days for Max. No surprise. Andrew Drury, Baku. Yep, he was lucky there. But again, that was a long time ago. That was, what, 15 races ago? 16 races ago? And Germany, I wouldn't say he was lucky. Vettel made the mistake. Hamilton kept it on track. I wouldn't say that's luck. That's just more skill than luck. Ark Invider, Mercedes paid Ocon. Yep, the conspiracy theories, I'm sure, are starting. Raghav Gupta says Max got 5 driver of the days in the last 6 races. Can't be blunt. I think there is crap coming for those comments. What I'll say is, you know, that's my opinion. And if you disagree, comment below. But, yeah, that's my opinion. Tonka Toy Truck, no DNFs for Hamilton. Helps. Ice failure. He did have the DNF at Austria. And he did have a penalty for Bahrain because of unreliability. But yeah. Just looking at some more comments here. How many driver of the days for Ocon? Can you go below 0 with that somehow? Somehow put it into negative. Max Claydon, I feel distraught. Distraught. Another year I have to wait for someone else to end Mercedes' pure domination. In terms of winning titles, yes, Mercedes are still dominating, but they haven't dominated this or last season in terms of pace and the races. They haven't. So I wouldn't say they've dominated. Why was Vettel slow? That's from Sambo. I don't know. I'm sure in the race review tomorrow we will find out, because I'll grab some quotes from Sebastian Vettel to use in the race review tomorrow. But he struggled on the soft tyre and on the medium. I don't really know. He just struggled to have any pace or have grip. Just looking, Christo says, Mark, you better watch out for the Red Bull is coming. If Red Bull with Honda are closer to Mercedes and Ferrari at the start of next season, then I cannot wait for 2019. Because Max, we know on his day and with, you know, a good enough car like he had today, Max can win races and go for race wins as well. Vahan, Red Bull's car was an absolute beast today. It was the best car to be in today. Supreme grip and great managing of the tyres. It was great from that point of view. Just looking, Matthew Felton, how was Ricciardo's day? Tell me he finished. Yes, he did. He finished in P4 and only half a second behind Kimi Raikkonen for third. Very close. And if he started in 6th, I think Ricciardo could have won this race. He had good pace, did Danny Rick. Did Alonso finish? Yes, he did. But right at the back. Gasly could be the real surprise next year. We'll see. Mike Post, if Max won the race, he would have had more points than Bottas at this current point. Yes, he would. But the gap, was it 11 points coming into this race, I think? Max has took 8 points, I think, from that. So now Max Verstappen is just a point behind Bottas, I think, in the Drivers' Championship. It just shows you, if Max had not been crashing a lot in the first 6 races, Max could be in 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. He has had a very good season after Canada, for sure. Simon S. Max and Hamilton agree they smashed the champagne bottle on Ocon's head. Andrew Drury, now we can look forward to another exciting race in Abu Dhabi. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Abu Dhabi because that track I don't think will produce as good of a race as this one. But you never know. Maybe a 2012 will happen. As now the drivers are coming out onto the podium. Rona Brady says Hamilton got a lot of luck this weekend, not just a bit. Yeah, he did. He did. Max Claydon. Max said he hoped he doesn't see Ocon in the paddock or he will bleep. Jay says Brazil is never boring. It's kind of like, you know, I know Canada this year was boring, but it's kind of similar to Canada in terms of the racing is 90 to 95% of the time always, you know, good. I really like Abu Dhabi, as you know, so I'm looking forward to it. That's from Ronan Brady. Yep, I know exactly why you like that track. At Harvard says, well, for the first time since forever, Van Dorn finished ahead of Alonso. Yes, Van Dorn has. Very good race for Stoffel. Very good race. E7 suspect. Have you seen the video of Max pushing Ocon after the race, Chaz? I haven't. I haven't seen any of that. So, well, if I do, then I'm sure I'll find it. But I haven't seen anything about that. Ronan Brady, however, you have to be there to capitalise on incidents like this. So well done to Hamilton. Absolutely, he does have to still be there to capitalise, and that is the hallmark of a world champion, is being there to capitalise on bad luck for others, or crashes or whatever. That's why Alain Prost, for example, in the 1980s and the early 90s, ended up being a 4-time champion, because he was very good at capitalising on others' errors or bad luck. So there you go. But here is, guys, the official race order. So Lewis Hamilton is your race winner from Max Verstappen in second. Third is Kimi Raikkonen. Fourth is Ricciardo. Fifth is Bottas. Sixth is Sebastian Vettel. Seventh is Charles Leclerc. Eighth is Grosjean. Ninth is Kevin Magnussen. 10th is Sergio Perez. 11th is Hartley. 12th is Sainz. 13th is Pierre Gasly. 14th is Stoffel Van Dorn. 15th is Ocon. 16th is Sirotkin. 17th Alonso. 18th is Stroll. And your only retirements are Nico Hulkenberg and Marcus Ericsson. Now, guys, in a slight change up to the last race watch along 2 weeks ago, where I threw up images of the cars in the race reaction, what I'm going to do instead is leave this on the screen so anyone who's joining the watch along knows what the result was. And what we'll do is I'll say, let's go on to, Sauber or Haas, and then we'll talk about them, because I want to leave this on the screen so all of you guys joining know exactly what happened. So, I think it's best that we first go on to Mercedes. Now, in my opinion, they did not deserve to win this race today. For one, they didn't have the pace, and it showed as Max Verstappen passed Lewis Hamilton midway through the Grand Prix. And for me, Lewis Hamilton did get lucky to win this race because, the whole Ocon-Verstappen incident, when Ocon took out Verstappen. I don't think Lewis deserved to win this race, but as I just said a minute ago, you have to be there to capitalise when others have bad luck or a crash. And he did, and takes the victory. Is a bit of a lucky boy this weekend, of course, with the whole controversy with Sergei Sirotkin in qualifying, but there you go. That is the result. For Valtteri Bottas, though, he was like a mobile chicane today. He just was not quick today. I mean, he was in the final few laps, I think, where he set the lap record, but that was only because he put on a new set of the soft compound tyres. Before he pitted for the second time, he was a mobile chicane. He was holding up the two Ferraris, the Red Bulls. He always had a car behind him. He never had, just free track to himself. He never had that because he didn't have any pace. And I think that's because the Mercedes was struggling so much on I'm just watching the podium celebrations there. I don't know what's going on. But he just didn't have any pace on the super soft tyres he started on. Then on the medium tyres. And then, well, he did have pace on the soft tyres, but it was too late. But guys, what do you think about Mercedes? What do you think? Put in the chat right now, and I'll read it out for the next few minutes. Niblo has just posted in the chat, guys. Max pushing Ocon. So if you want to take a look at that, then go ahead. So let's take a look then at what you guys think about Mercedes today. Max Claydon, will you check out Pure Pit Wall before Abu Dhabi? Absolutely, because if it is better than the current system, then I'll use it. But if it isn't, then I'll stick to what I'm doing until Abu Dhabi and then reassess for next season. Right, I'm just looking. So, what did you think, guys, about Mercedes? Put in the chat right now. Mark Thomas, Ocon Young Driver Mercedes program. I know what you want to say, but don't say it, because I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Ocon's just an idiot. Interesting how Lewis Hamilton told off Verstappen on the podium. I didn't see that. I was busy looking at the chat. Andrew Drury says Bottas was shocking. He was. I know the Mercedes has bad tyre wear, but you know, Lewis Hamilton, for example, he didn't struggle as bad as Bottas did. Bottas had like tyre wear on another level compared to Lewis Hamilton. So I don't know if it's Bottas's driving style means that he burns his tyres out more. I don't know, but yeah, very slow. Very slow. Warren M. Bottas held up Ricciardo nicely to help Lewis out as well. Well, Bottas held up the whole field. Well, not the whole field, but you know, the field of top drivers to help out his teammate, and it did work, I think, because Lewis may not have got out ahead of Verstappen after the Verstappen-Ocon incident if Verstappen, say, had a great start and got past Bottas at the start. So, yeah. Just looking. Han Solo, all things considered, I'm happy that it was Hamilton who capitalised after Ocon took away the win from Max. Hamilton deserved champion. Yep, he does deserve the championship in 2018. Goodbye to Raghav Gupta. Great to have you along, as always. Just looking at Simon S. Ocon will never be in the top team. Well, there is rumours that Ocon will be at Mercedes for 2020. I'm not 100% sure about that, because I think if Bottas does enough in 2019, he should keep his seat. But yeah. Ocon is still salty that Verstappen is in the top team before he is. Possibly. Will F1 Mercedes are deserving champions? Absolutely. But some races they have been lucky to win this year. Yeah, they were lucky to win today. You could say Baku, but I think they deserve to win that with Valtteri Bottas. They've also been unlucky. You know, Austria. Well, I say Austria, but, you know, they had a chance to maintain the lead. But they made a massive strategy mistake. Oh, and Max, calm down. No need to push Ocon. We all call Lewis a crybaby, but Max is worse. What that is, guys, it's just heat of the moment. I know why you guys will criticise that, but you know, when a driver comes out of the cockpit after doing 71 laps of pushing to the absolute max, no pun intended, he's going to be very hot and bothered, especially if that happens to him. So I'm not condoning it, but I'm not surprised that happened, because, again, he has every right to be angry. Every right to be angry. Mad Max is a savage. Andrew Drury says, I'd probably do the same in Max's position. I probably wouldn't push Ocon, but I would probably get kind of in his face about it, saying, what the hell are you doing? You're being lapped. Stay lapped. Type of thing. You know, you're too slow, so stay behind me. Type of thing. And I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but if you want to be successful in F1, you have to be. Look at Lewis Hamilton, for example. Right. I'm just looking to see if there's any more comments about Mercedes. Electro Knights, Max Axe, so immature. He can do sometimes. What he did after qualifying in Mexico wasn't exactly the best thing he's done. Lol, a back marker has the right to overtake the leader. I don't think he does necessarily in all cases, because if Max did lap Ocon 2 corners before the climb up the hill, then Ocon should stay behind. And there was actually evidence of how to do it in the Grand Prix, because later on Lance Stroll got a run on Kimi Raikkonen, and then Stroll decided to not go for a move and let through Ricciardo as well. So again, you're a back marker and you're being lapped for a reason, so stay behind, stay lapped. That's you know what it's for. Dylan Tate, who got the fastest lap? It was Valtteri Bottas, a new lap record of 1:10.5, but that's because he pitted an extra time to do so. And now they're interviewing Ocon on Sky F1. I don't know what he's thinking at the minute. Will F1, Jos Verstappen took out Montoya in Brazil while Montoya was leading. Maybe that was kind of, I don't know, karma, because I do remember that. Montoya lapped Jos into turn 4 and Jos went right over the back of him, took his rear wing off when Montoya was going to win that Grand Prix. So maybe that is a bit of karma coming, you know, full circle. Emil Ocon deserved black flag. I don't think he deserved that. I think what he got punishment-wise was right. That was the correct punishment. But yeah, we'll move on from Mercedes and now go on to Ferrari. Now, well, where do we start with Ferrari? They were nowhere near as fast as we thought they would be. We thought them starting on the soft compound tyres that they would be the favourites for the victory, but they looked, I wouldn't say the third slowest, but they just were not anywhere near quick enough to win the race. And yes, you can see there on the screen, Kimi Raikkonen only 4.7 seconds behind. But you have to remember, it's a short lap. You're not going to lose that amount of time over a short lap. But yeah, Ferrari, I don't know where their pace was. Raikkonen was clearly faster than Sebastian Vettel, so I don't know what Vettel was playing at today. I'd love to know what Vettel, what his thoughts are and what his issues were, because to me, it seemed as though he was struggling with the tyres, because he was locking up a lot in the first, I think, 10 laps. He was locking up quite a lot, so I think Vettel had a problem with his tyres. But for Kimi, a good performance. But for Ferrari, where was the pace? Where was their pace? Not good enough. Not good enough at all. Dylan Tate, thank you for saying that. He says, thanks, Chazza. Just trying to look. Warren M. Raikkonen has always been better on tyres. Yep, he is better at managing tyres than Vettel is. But Vettel should be the faster driver. But he wasn't. Raikkonen was just clearly better than Sebastian today. Sebastian, not Vettel, but says, this was Vettel's worst race except from all of the crashes and mistakes. He was so slow. I think pace-wise, forget crashes and mistakes, but in terms of pace in the race, this was probably the slowest he has been in 2018. I can't remember a race this season where he was this slow and you know, slower than his teammate in this fashion. I can't remember the last time that happened. Really, really poor, I have to say. So this is the full race result. Yes, this is what you're seeing on your screen is the official race result of the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix. Ferrari had tyre issues, it seems. Vettel suffered more than Raikkonen. That's on Will F1. Yep, it does seem as though that Vettel just struggled on the soft compound. I think he did better on the mediums, but not that much better, to be honest. So that would make Hamilton champion, correct? Hamilton was made world champion back in Mexico. Mercedes, though, are now the constructors champions. Delirious user, Bottas, Sorokin, Petrov, Leto, Kimi are the people from that cold area just that good at defensive driving. Maybe. I will say with Finnish racing drivers, they don't care what you do against them in a wheel-to-wheel battle. They don't care. They're not going to get over-emotional about it. Just looking in the chat. Beacon F1 says Kimi was way better than Vettel. Yeah, I have to agree. Ronan Brady says Vettel was very poor this weekend. I wouldn't say very poor. I thought up until, you know, the start of the race, I thought he had not a good weekend, but had been quick. But then in the race was just nowhere. I don't know what happened. By the way, guys, I just want to ask, before I move on to Red Bull in a moment, can you inform me how many people are watching live right now? Because my stat that says how many people are watching has just frozen on 291 for quite a long time. So I don't know how many people are actually watching right now. So if you can let me know, then please put in the comments, because mine's been frozen on 291 for the last hour for some reason. People saying, okay, so between 290 and 300. Okay, thank you very much for that, guys. Yeah, mine's just frozen on 291. My elapsed time is still going, so I know I'm still all live and all that, but my current people watching it's been frozen on 291 for a long time. So yeah, but we'll move on from Ferrari and go on to Red Bull. Now I'll talk about Ricciardo first before we get all controversial with Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. With Daniel Ricciardo, very, very good race. Very good. If he started where he qualified, he could have won today. He was very quick. Not as quick as Max, but was, very consistent. Made some good overtakes on Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. He so almost got past Raikkonen, but just didn't have enough time to do so, unfortunately. If there were 20 more laps, I think Ricciardo would have finished on the podium, but there you go. But Max Verstappen, definitely for me, the driver of the day, and also the story of the day. So, Max Verstappen started in 5th, got past Raikkonen at the start, but then Raikkonen got back past. Then Verstappen dived down the inside of Raikkonen at turn 1, then past Vettel, then past Bottas, and then started to close on Lewis Hamilton. And then after Hamilton pitted, Verstappen put in one hell of a first stint. That was a fantastic first stint from Max Verstappen. Came out on fresher and softer tyres, then passed Lewis Hamilton quite easily down the pit straight. And then the incident. I think we should just call it that, the incident. with Esteban Ocon, where Esteban Ocon, I believe, was lapped right before Jinsao, the final real corner at this track. He then gets a run on Verstappen going up the hill because, of course, he gets a slipstream and the Force India is faster in a straight line. And then goes around the outside. Max Verstappen turns in to turn 2 because he thinks, like anyone would, this guy's going to give up because he's being lapped. But Ocon decides to go for the move, takes out Verstappen. Verstappen gets going again, but lost the win because of it. Max Verstappen deserved to win today. Absolutely. And I just can't believe he didn't win this race. He deserved to win it so much. He really did. He drove fantastically. Great pace, great overtaking, great time management. That just shows you why he is rated as a guy that could go and win what Lewis has won in terms of world championships and races and, you know, pole positions. That's why, because of, you know, days like today with fantastic pace, sublime overtaking and very good tyre management. But there you go. Verstappen second, Ricciardo fourth. And guys, for, I'd say today, what are your final hot takes on the Ocon-Verstappen incident? Let's take a look. Dizung, I think it is, says Max does not deserve to win. If you would like to clarify, then make sure to put it in the chat. He's now deleted that, so... oh no, he says he's a freaking idiot. Okay, could you explain why further? Why Max does not deserve to win? Emil, turn 2, Max is ahead and someone is on, or someone is being lapped. Must always give space to the one that is lapping him. Yes, you may take him back, but never with risk. There's nothing wrong with unlapping yourself if you are faster, but don't do it like that. And, well, Ocon was not faster. He was only faster up the hill because slipstream and he has a Mercedes power unit. He wasn't faster than Verstappen. He was just faster on the straights. So, there you go. Sebastian says, Ocon was an idiot. This would have been a great win for Max. And I'm going to say it now. I think today was one of Max Verstappen's best races of his career so far. I really think that, because if you look at where he has won race-wise so far in his career, he's had 5 race wins, I think. This was going to be his 6th, and this is the track that was the most unlikeliest place you would think, or one of the most unlikeliest places you would think that Max would win. Because, you know, just look at his other wins. You have Mexico twice, where Red Bull are expected to be good. Malaysia, Red Bull were expected to be good there. Austria was a surprise, so that was a very good win. And Spain, he did get lucky with the whole, you know, Mercedes drivers taking each other out, but did drive very well. In terms of his career so far, this has been one of Max's best drives of his career so far, no doubt about it. Right, let's take a look at more comments. By the way, if you're wondering, guys, I will be live for another, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes, so don't worry, you'll still have plenty of time to voice your opinion, so go ahead and do so. Dexter Hall, why couldn't Max just wait and let off? He isn't. He's not the only one racing. Max is lapping Ocon. He doesn't have to. Ocon should be giving Max, you know, room and letting Max go past, because again, Max is lapping Ocon. Even though Ocon was trying to unlap himself, by the time by the time they got to the exit of turn 1, it was pretty clear that, you know, Ocon was not going to unlap himself. So Ocon should have stamped on the brakes, let Verstappen go, and then try and, I don't know, follow Verstappen if he could, but not get past because, well, he wasn't going to because he was slower. Delirious user, guys, you have the right to overtake. Doesn't mean you overtake like Maldonado. Same logic for unlapping. Absolutely. You're allowed, of course, to pass if you're a lap down, but don't do it, again, like Delirious user says, like Maldonado. Why didn't Ocon get a blue flag? Well, he already would have had one but when he let Verstappen through. But then when he tries to repass Verstappen into turn 1 and turn 2, he wouldn't have got one because he had already let Max through, so it wasn't necessary. The Count B Blah, the Orange Army troops are all out in force. Yeah. Just looking. Andrew Drury. Brundle says that it would have been a penalty even if Ocon wasn't a lap down. Yeah, it would have, because Max had his car clearly ahead into turn 2 and had earned the right to turn in. Ocon did not have enough of his car alongside to even make a pass possible, even if it was, you know, for position. Right, I'm just looking at some more comments about. I'm probably going to look at, say, 10 minutes more of comments about Ocon and Verstappen, and then I will move on to the rest of the midfield for, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes. Right, let me just look. There's plenty of comments about this. This has been a very controversial Brazilian Grand Prix for sure. And by the way, guys, I will be live tomorrow at 6 PM UK time until about 7:30 PM UK time for a full live race review where we're going to go fully through the race and, you know, look at stats, also look at quotes from the drivers. So we're actually going to hear from Sebastian, Vettel, what went wrong, for example. So don't forget to subscribe. We do this every race weekend, and we'll be doing it for 2019. So don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. On the bottom right of the screen, you can subscribe, or click on my channel name and subscribe to the channel. Andrew Drury says, I think that Max could win the next race as Brazil is even more engine dependent than Abu Dhabi. You know what? Yeah, I'd have to say that. I'd have to agree with that. You know, with Brazil, they should not have been this competitive at all. They should not have been, but they were so good. Max Claydon, Chaz, can you take over from Crofty? I'd love to, but realistically, I don't think that'll ever happen. Right, I'm just looking at some more comments about Ocon and Verstappen. Let me just take a look. There's plenty. I'm trying to find the best ones I can for this controversy. Ruza says Ocon, was off the track and Max still hit him. We're seeing a replay on Sky F1 of it. So Ocon, I'm seeing a replay now, goes round the outside. Verstappen is clearly ahead and then crash. So it's pretty simple. It's a slam dunk 10-second stop-go penalty. It's a slam dunk penalty. Niblo does not know what Ocon was thinking. Ocon was an idiot. This would have been a great win for Max. Will F1 says Ocon should never have even thought about trying it, let alone doing what he did. If I was in Ocon's position, of course I'm not a racing driver, but if I was, you know, I would have used Verstappen's slipstream and the DRS to gain lap time from that, but I wouldn't have gone for the move because, one, the guy was faster, and there's no point because then he's just going to lap me again. There was no logical point in unlapping himself. There was no logic behind it. There was nothing It made no sense. Made no sense at all. Because Verstappen just would have lapped him 3 corners later. Right. Let's look at some more, shall we? Emil, the Red Bull was very fast today. Their time management is just great. Yeah, they were very, very fast. Zane says I'm lying and that Ocon had the faster car and tyre. Well, if he did, then why did Max Verstappen lap him in the first place? You know, there you go. Warren M. Ocon just thought it was Gasly. Well, it looks as though for 2019, Ocon won't get the chance to do that to anyone. And you know what? Ocon does deserve to be on the grid for 2019. We know this. But with what he did today and what he did in Mexico to the 2 Toro Rossos, he's not exactly putting himself in, you know, high standards with team principals and bosses down the pit lane. He's not helping his case by doing what he did today. So, yeah. Someone's saying their Mercedes wanted to secure the Constructors' Championship. They used Ocon to make sure they did. I'm not gonna comment on it because I know what everyone is thinking, but I'm not going to. I think is it Trixie or Trixie? Sorry if I've mispronounced your username there. The only issue Vettel has is the Ferrari team around him, and as well his own lapses in concentration. Let's not forget that. Andrew Drury, not sure how you penalise an incident like this because no matter what penalty you give Ocon, Verstappen still missed out on winning. True, but you know, you can't stop the race and then put Max back ahead of Lewis. That's all you can do in that situation is give him a 10-second stop-go penalty. And the reason he got a 10-second stop-go and not a 5 seconds added to his time was because doing that to a driver is always going to get you more severe of a penalty if you do it to someone who is a lap ahead of you compared to, if you do that against Gasly or Hartley. So, yeah, he was always going to get that penalty. Max would have won if he didn't crash. He was dominating. That's from Max Claydon. I wouldn't say dominating, but yeah, I think Max was definitely going to win that race. I mean, with a damaged floor, he still caught Hamilton back up at the end and was very close to winning. Zane says, you always say Max is right even when he's wrong, Chaz. Remember Bahrain when you thought Max was right? I didn't think Max was right. I just thought Max was not at fault for the incident, and that Lewis was also not at fault. I thought it was a 50-50 racing incident. I didn't think Max was in the right at all. And then, of course, tells me to stop being biased, which is a fantastic insult. I have not stood up for Max in every incident. If you watched my analysis of me, analysing what he did in China, I said he was in the wrong both times. I said he was in the wrong in Baku, and I massively criticised him after what he did in Monaco, where he pushed way too hard in practice and slammed it in the barriers. So I don't understand how I'm biased, but if that's your opinion, then you're entitled to it. Right, I'll read out a couple more comments about Verstappen and Ocon, and then I'll move on, guys, to the midfield. Matthew Felton. Max shouldn't get into trouble in the 60s to 90s. That would have been a fight. People need to let the drivers have emotions without crying over whether or not it's correct. Back in the 70s, for example, and the 80s, Max pushing Ocon, that would have been a usual occurrence. It really would. I'm just looking at final comment here. Ronan Brady, I'm not Max's biggest fan, but he was unlucky today. And hold on, I just scrolled up. Let me just see that. Someone's saying something about Mercedes here. F1 would have never excluded Mercedes from the Constructors' Championship. Based on the Ocon incident, it would be impossible to prove, and Mercedes is too heavily invested in F1 and vice versa. Yeah, let's be honest, guys. They didn't tell Ocon to do that. Let's be honest. It's just tinfoil hat talk, as usual, when it comes to that stuff. But you know what? We'll move on from that, because I think we've covered enough of that for now. But if you want to debate that further, then comment on this video once it goes up as a video and is no longer a live stream, or join the race review tomorrow at 6 PM UK time and we can debate it again. So if you want to do that again, then there you go. Those are your options. But we'll move on to the midfield, and first off, McLaren. McLaren were just so poor. No pace. Van Dorn, I thought, wasn't too bad. In the race, he finished ahead of Alonso, made a couple overtakes, was quite good. But you know what? I'm just going to move on past McLaren, because they have been irrelevant this weekend. Next up is Renault. For Renault, it was kind of an expected result, what they got from this race. Nico Hülkenberg retiring and Carlos Sainz finishing, I think, in 13th place. Goodbye to Ronan Brady, who says he'll see you tomorrow. Or see me tomorrow, sorry. Yeah, it kind of expected from Renault. Hülkenberg, and I just saw Verstappen pushing Ocon there. They're just showing it on the TV. That was quite a big push by Max Verstappen on Ocon. That wasn't a nudge. That gets you the blood flowing, that type of push. If you haven't seen it, then make sure you see it, because that was one hell of a push. But yeah, with Renault, it was to be expected, this kind of result. Nico Hülkenberg was doing all right in P11, but he was never realistically going to finish in the points ahead of Perez and the Sauber of Charles Leclerc and the two Haas's. So for Renault, what they got is what was to be expected. I think they'll be better in Abu Dhabi, but not much better. But at the end of the day, they wanted to clinch 4th in the Constructors, and that is what they are going to do. But we'll move on from Renault, and we'll go on to Force India. Now, Force India, when it comes to the race pace, they were better, because Sergio Perez was in the points and quite clearly ahead of the people just behind outside of the points. So Perez was good, had a good race. But for Ocon, I think we've already covered what we needed to cover with Ocon. Was very silly in what he did. Was an idiot. I can understand Max's frustration and pushing him. Maybe don't push him that hard, but yeah, I think we've said enough about Esteban Ocon. And, well, for Force India, a good race. But I think for this weekend for Force India, it could have been better. Because normally at this track, you know, normally at this track, they're in, you know, P8, P9 on the grid. But this weekend, they've been more 12th and 13th instead of P8 or P9, where they usually are. So, yeah, very disappointing for me when it comes to Force India. I'm just looking in the chat. You guys are commenting about the Max Ocon push. So it's okay for Max to be pushing drivers. Now, no, it's not okay. I'm not condoning it. It's clearly wrong. But I'm saying don't be surprised that he's doing that, because That's what happens when you get straight out of the cockpit. And to be honest, I think he is entitled to be a bit angry. He should not push him at all. I'm not condoning that at all. But don't be surprised that he's doing something like that, because I think Ocon does deserve an angry reaction. Some others saying Max and Esteban have been summoned to the stewards. No surprise. But Sebastian saying it showed a lot of passion. It did, but maybe a bit too much passion, to be honest. But there you go. But we'll move on from that and go on to Williams. And, well, we'll just move on from Williams. They weren't quick at all. They were faster than McLaren, I think, in today's race, which is a plus. But still, of course, not where they should be. Toro Rosso, I have to say, I think Toro Rosso was slightly disappointing today. Pierre Gasly was in the top 10, but then for some reason just fell massively off the back of the points with Brendan Hartley as well. I don't know what happened for Toro Rosso, but something around the pit stops happened for Toro Rosso because they just fell back for some reason. I think they might have pitted too early. That might be a reason, but yeah, Toro Rosso, disappointed today, I think, slightly. I think they would have been hoping for a points finish. I think when it comes to Honda, though, they have, I'd say, passed the test. Not with flying colours, but have passed the test with the upgraded engine they've had since Suzuka. They've passed the test of, is that power unit looking better than the old one, or is it looking good? I think they have just about passed that test. So, yeah. But again, Toro Rosso, I think, will be slightly disappointed. They didn't finish in the points. We'll now go on to not Force India. Why am I thinking of that? Still thinking of the Ocon Verstappen stuff. We'll go on to Haas. Haas had a good race. Now, they didn't have as fast a car as Sauber did. I think Charles Leclerc was very good today. And the Sauber was faster. But Haas definitely showed up more on race day than they did in qualifying. And I'd say for the first time, probably since, I don't know, Spa, Haas had a very good race in terms of pace. So, yeah, I think Haas can be very happy with themselves. They do force the fight for fourth to the final race. The gap now in the constructors between Renault and Haas for fourth it was 30 points before this race, and now it's 24, I believe. So, yeah, the fight is still on, but realistically, I don't see how Haas can take that from Renault. They need Haas. They need to have an amazing Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and hope that there's crashes from Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull in that Grand Prix. But when it comes to today, they had a good race. They absolutely did. And look to me as though they're back to where they kind of should be pace-wise. And finally is Sauber. Now, for Marcus Ericsson, well, it was a very bad race. He had a bad start, contact with a Haas, something flew off the rear of his car, which I think did cause his retirement when he spun at turn, I think was it turn 7. And yeah, just didn't have any pace in the race after that. So disappointing for Marcus Ericsson, but there you go. But for me, driver of the day in Formula 1.5 is Charles Leclerc. He was clearly at the front of the midfield. He was doing a very good job. There was even instances, guys, where Leclerc was fighting with Vettel and Hamilton because Leclerc was doing very well to be close enough to the top 6. So very good performance from Charles Leclerc. Sauber now, they haven't literally confirmed 8th in the constructors, but they basically have, and they do deserve it because I think Sauber have been consistently progressing through 2018 and have more consistently, been better in 2018, in my opinion. But there you go, guys. That is the midfield. And now I will read out, probably for, I don't know, the next, 10 to 15 minutes, read out your comments about the midfield. By the way, if you can, guys, again, just let me know how many people are watching live, because my thing is still frozen. But right, let's take a look. Sebastian said, this is why Gasly won't perform next season in a Red Bull. Gasly should have been doing what Leclerc has been doing, outperforming their teammate nearly every race. Yeah, maybe Gasly was a bit disappointing, but there you go. People saying about 220. Okay, thanks for letting me know, guys. Yeah, you should have probably pace-wise been better, but there you go. I don't think, by the way, Gasly will be as good as Max Verstappen next season. I don't see it. I think, personally, Max is on a different level to Pierre Gasly. I hope that Gasly proves me wrong. We'll have to see. Warren M says a push will probably just be a reprimand and a fine. If it goes further, could be a pit lane start next race. Yeah, it's going to be a reprimand. It may be a fine as well for both drivers. I don't know. But, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Matthew Felton on the push says it's just a push. Enclosed wheel. People have thrown helmets. Having a well-cultivated dark side is actually healthy psychologically speaking. Zhang referred to it as the shadow self. Yeah, I understand your point about it's just a push. I think it was a bit, a bit hard. One of the pushes. I think he pushed him a bit too hard. But I think as well, we do have to say, Max could have done worse. If you've never seen the clips of James Hunt punching a Marshall in the late 70s, go and find that. And also Nelson Piquet after, and that's what's funny, very similar. Nelson Piquet at Hockenheim in, was it 1981 or 1982, was took out at one of the chicanes at Hockenheim by a lapped backmarker, Roberto Salazar. Took him out the chicane. Both of them got out of the cars, and then Nelson Piquet punched and kicked him a few times. So if you think what Max did today was bad, then what do you think about what Piquet did? Because it was nowhere near as bad as what Piquet did. Right, I'm just looking. Some more comments. Mike Brown says, Vettel is mentally weak. Judging by his body language, hopefully next year he will get his act together. I hope so too, but he is definitely mentally weaker than Lewis Hamilton. No doubt about it. Will F1 first time this year where Hamilton and Vettel are on the front row and the driver starting second wins the race. Crystal Racing, Max needs major help. Maybe he does need help in, calming down after a race if something's gone bad for him, but I can understand and kind of agree with his emotions. I don't agree with him pushing Ocon. I think that is not right and I don't condone it, but I can understand the emotion. I think we all can. If you were in his position and you had a race win there, sitting and waiting for you, and then that happens, I think you would probably also be very angry. Schumacher, this is someone saying Schumacher was a little hot-tempered, especially earlier in his career. Although his temper seemed to calm as he progressed, he never stopped taking chances. Hopefully Max will go the same way. Yep, I hope so too. And of course, remember, Schumacher trying to beat up David Coulthard at Spa in 1998. So, it's not the first time this has happened. Can't be blah. Chaz, you remember me saying Max isn't mature as a driver as everyone was saying after Mexico? Case in point. I'm not sure I said he was mature. If I did, then I'm probably wrong on that, to be honest. But he definitely does have a lot of learning to do, because he is not the finished article as of yet. There's no doubt about it. He does have a lot to learn. But is, you know, only 21 years old and has 5 race wins. So he's in a good position. Sonny Stephen, Verstappen will have a tough time with Gasly if he finds pace like how Verstappen did on his promotion. Plus, they are both young. Yeah, if Gasly does perform better than Max is expecting, then that might kind of put Verstappen out of sorts. But I think Verstappen should beat him quite comfortably in 2019. Serena Jane says people who go physical shows a lack of intelligence, otherwise you can address your grievances verbally. Yeah, you know what, that is correct. I wouldn't say Max is dumb, but I don't think Lewis Hamilton would have done that if it happened to him. So yeah, and that's what I meant also by Max has a lot of learning to do before he becomes what he wants to in this sport. But guys, I will answer comments for probably the next, I don't know, 5 minutes, and then I will end the stream. So if you do have any final takes, hot takes, and you know, questions or anything like that, put them in the chat, and I will try my best to get through as many as possible. Max Claydon, Hamilton is telling Verstappen off, saying he is unsportsmanlike. Well, hopefully Max does learn, because, you know, Lewis isn't perfect. He is not perfect, but Lewis is way more experienced and is the better driver right now and is a 5-time world champion. So hopefully Max actually learns from that and learns from what Lewis said, if that is what Lewis actually said to him. Max Claydon, how did your want to watch get on? Leclerc, P7. So there you go. Got it right for once. Legion, do you think Mercedes domination ends this year? No, I think they'll win in 2019 as well. I think it'll be very, very close, but I think they'll win in 2019 as well. Mike Brown asking, how old is Max? Max Verstappen is 21. And by the way, Lewis Hamilton was only 22 when he, you know, only just entered the sport. So Max is still very young. And, you know, look at, you know, the top personalities in the sport. Your Hamiltons, Vettels, Raikkonen, Alonso, Ricciardo. They're all, I think except for Ricciardo maybe, they're all in their 30s. They're now very experienced. So he's a long way off yet getting into his prime mentally and driving wise. Warren M, I think Ferrari might get the constructors next year, but Lewis the championship. If you asked me right now, I would say Mercedes, I think, will win both next year, but I think for 2020, that's the season I think they'll most likely be beaten, if they are, before 2021. Serena J, Max, it's not dumb, just it shows a weakness. Yeah, it does. It does show a weakness that he should learn quickly to overcome. In his own interest, he has a great potential in F1. I absolutely agree. It does show a weakness, but that can be improved upon, because he is still young and has, again, lots to learn. Emmy, what happened with Vettel during the race? I think he struggled on tyres during the entire race and just had no pace and no real grip, so finished in P6. Not a good performance at all. Do you think Ferrari will have a better chance next season with their new driver? Or do you think they will have, there will be a turbulent season between the drivers? There might be some turbulence, well, quite literally, if they're racing each other. I think Ferrari will start off the season pace-wise not at their best in the first 4 races, but then from Spain at the start of the European season up until their home race at Monza, that's when Ferrari will be at their best, and that's where they need to capitalise results-wise. But then I think for the final few races, they will drop off again, because that's normally what they do. First, you know, flyaways, they're good, but not there yet. Then in the European summer, that's when they're at their best, and then they drop off at the end of the season. And I think that'll happen again. Right, I'll read out a couple more comments, and then I'll come off, I think, guys, because I have to say, and I think you could probably hear it, my throat is exhausted after what has been a fantastic Grand Prix. We have to say that as well. You know, it might have been ruined for some of you if you are a Max Verstappen fan or a Vettel fan, but this was a very exciting race. Will F1 next year should be good. Hamilton versus Vettel versus Verstappen versus Leclerc if they all produce near equal cars. Wow, what a thought that would be. Or what a thought that is, sorry. If we get that for next year, then I think we can expect that type of race for most of the season in 2019, and hopefully the cars can follow better. Crystal Racing, get some honey and orange drink. I've got plenty of orange that I'll go and drink in a minute. D&D works. I really think Red Bull will make a strong run for the championship. I guess you're saying for 2019. I don't think they will. I still think Red Bull will not have enough with Honda for 2019. But I think 2020 they have to be contending for the championship. Only if, though, Honda continue to just make progress, you know, continuously for the next, you know, 5 or 6 years. Count people are Chaz, you are the man, go rest, man. Well, I won't be able to rest for long because I have a F1 game league race with a certain Mr. Niblo in about half an hour. So I won't be able to rest for long. Right, the final comment I'm going to read out, and I think I've done this with this guy a few times, but he does put in very good comments and does have a very interesting take on things. Warren M. Problem for Max here is even if it never happens again, people will now always refer to him as a hothead and cite this incident. True. This does not work well for him when it comes to, you know, the latter part of his career because, yeah, people will use that against him. Hard to understand when you're 21 how one silly reaction can follow you. Well, I'm also... no, I'm not 21 yet, but I'm almost 21. My 21st birthday is in January. If you guys are wondering, my 21 or 21st birthday is January the 16th. But, you know, I relate to Max because you're right. At this age and this period of your life, you don't fully comprehend the mistakes you make now, which could affect you later on. It takes, you know, until you get to at least 25, 26 years old to fully, you know, start comprehending the mistakes you've made and also, you know, learn and improve as a person. And hopefully by that age, you know, 25, 26, Max will improve and become the great driver we think he can be. But guys, that is it for this race watch along. Thank you guys so much. This was a fantastic Grand Prix. I have had so much fun today. This was the most fun race watch along, in my opinion, that I have ever done. It was fantastic, and sorry if I didn't read out all of your comments, but again, there was so much to talk about, so sorry about that. But yeah, what a race. But guys, Thank you for watching. If you are new to the channel, we do this every race weekend and we will be doing this for 2019. So don't forget to subscribe. Bottom right of the screen, you can do so. Or click on my channel name and subscribe to the channel that way. Also, like this video and comment down below what you thought of this video. And also what you thought of the Ocon and Verstappen incident and the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix. As well, don't forget to join my Discord. Link below in the description at the very bottom. Discord, and that server is the best way to get notifications for my videos. So if you do want, notifications for my videos, join the Discord server. Link below at the bottom of the description. Also follow me on Twitter at Shaz6110. That's a great place to keep up to date with me and the channel. And check out my website, shazahd.com. But guys, until the full live race review tomorrow at 6 PM UK time, it's been me, ShazahD. Goodbye.